Your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. A new emergency proclamation. The Prime Minister's emergency powers extended. Shantytown residents say they have nowhere to go. And we're remembering Sir Charles Carter. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. Also this morning in Morning Blend Business, we are once again talking about the livable wage, and reaction has been strong to the numbers presented in a recent study. Those behind the study are going to be here to defend it coming up. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Governor General Sir Cornelius Smith has issued a fourth proclamation declaring a state of emergency. This gives the competent authority, Prime Minister Dr. Jimenez, up to another 6 months of emergency powers. The proclamation states that despite the fact that a national vaccination distribution program is in progress, there remains a comparatively low percentage of fully vaccinated people in the Bahamas. It says, quote, there is a third wave of infections on the islands of New Providence and Grand Bahama, which continues to cause illness and death in the Bahamas, and whereas, according to scientific and medical advice, COVID-19 is likely to persist as a pandemic in the Bahamas for the foreseeable future. The Governor General said he is satisfied that the COVID-19 pandemic continues to persist in the country. That proclamation continues for a period of 14 days, unless extended by each House of Parliament by resolution continuing it in force for a further period as provided by Article 29, Section 5 of the Constitution. The proclamation issued on Friday was released to the media on Saturday. As of Saturday, there have been 11,184 cases of COVID in the country. There have been 220 confirmed deaths. Officials are also reporting that 51 people died with the virus, but not because of it, since March 2020. Meanwhile, the latest emergency order, which came into effect yesterday, relaxes funeral and dining restrictions and eliminates COVID testing requirements for travel from all family islands. It also lifts the curfew for Abaco, Luthra, and Exuma. The curfews for Grand Bahama and New Providence remain in place. The change in protocols means expensive PCR tests are no longer required for those traveling to other islands from Abaco and Luthra. Testing requirements remain in place for travel from Grand Bahama and New Providence for anyone who's not fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Additionally, the latest order provides that travelers with a valid health visa can embark on multiple inter-island trips during the period of validity of that travel health visa and not be required to obtain a new RT-PCR test to return to respective originating island. That order, signed yesterday by Prime Minister Menes, came shortly after the Governor General's proclamation. In other news, 3 men shot to death in 3 separate incidents over the weekend. The first one taking place on Armbruster Street in Fox Hill shortly before 6 p.m. on Friday. A group of men outside a house when the occupants of a blue Honda Fit pulled up. Police say 2 men armed with firearms got out of that vehicle and shot at the group. The men were taken to the hospital in private vehicles. Police say one of the men, who was believed to have been around 60 years old, later died. The second incident on 3rd Street in Coconut Grove that same night, police say officers were called to the scene shortly before 9 p.m. Police say they were informed that a dark vehicle approached a group gathered outside a home. 2 masked men got out of the vehicles with handguns and shot at the group. 4 men were injured as a result of that shooting. Police say the men were taken to the hospital in private vehicles where 1 of the men died. 2 of the men were in stable condition, and the 4th was in critical condition, according to the police. Then Saturday morning, the body of a man who was believed to be in his mid-20s, early 30s, was found on vacant property off Grant Street in Fox Hill. Police say the body, which had multiple gunshot wounds, was found shortly before 7 a.m. The Defense Force says that a vessel collided with the HMBS Lawrence Major, which was moored in Suriname for maintenance and repairs. This happened on Saturday. According to the Defense Force, the ship was moored alongside a floating dry dock undergoing maintenance and repairs when the motor vessel Tropic Tide collided into the Lawrence Major around 8:30 a.m. on the 15th. Initial damage assessments have indicated that the HMBS Lawrence Major sustained structural damage to its superstructure port side, upper deck railing, stairway, and bow areas. And Sir Edward Charles Carter, the veteran broadcaster who was a lover and defender of all things Bahamian and whose voice was heard around the country for more than 50 years, has died. He passed away on Saturday afternoon, surrounded by family members. Sir Charles, who was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2016, was born on April 13, 1943. He grew up on Augusta Street and attended St. John's College and later graduated from Rhodes School in New York. Sir Charles even serving as the general manager of the Nassau Guardian at one point. Charles Carter was 78. Overseas, the Israeli military unleashing a wave of heavy airstrikes on the Gaza Strip early Monday, saying it destroyed 9 miles of militant tunnels and homes of 9 Hamas commanders. Residents of Gaza, awakened by the overnight barrage, described it as the heaviest since the war began a week ago, and even more powerful than a wave of airstrikes in Gaza City the day before that left 42 people dead and flattened 3 buildings. That earlier attack was the deadliest in the current round of hostilities between Israel and Gaza Hamas rulers. There were no immediate word on casualties from the latest airstrikes. A 3-story building in Gaza City was heavily damaged, but residents say the military warned them 10 minutes before the strike and everyone cleared out. They said many of the airstrikes hit nearby farmland. Gaza's mayor telling Al Jazeera TV that the strikes had caused extensive damage to roads and other infrastructure, and that if the aggression continues, they expect things to become much worse. In sports, the National Rowing Club holding its 2021 New Providence Secondary Schools Rowing Regatta at Lake Cunningham over the weekend. The young rowers decided to compete 11 schools in action on the water in the 1,000-meter course. One of the fastest races of the day featured the Life for Key International School girls up against a mixed schools boys team. in the ninth and final race of the morning. You can read more about all of this in today's Guardian Sports section. And Bahamian women's professional basketball player Jonquel J.J. Jones did not log a single minute in 582 days in the WNBA, but she did not skip a beat on Friday night, posting a game-high 26 points to guide the Connecticut Sun to a 78-63 victory over the Atlanta Dream at the Gateway Center in College Park, Georgia. It was the first time that Sun fans got to see the front court duo of Jones and last season's free agent signee, DeWanna Bonner, together in action for the first time, and it didn't disappoint as Bonner dropped 21 points. To complement Jones's game high, they scored a combined total of 47 points in that season opener. And back in the majors after nearly a month off, nursing that hamstring strain, Jazz Chisholm Jr. starting at shortstop and returning to the leadoff role in the Miami Marlins. Jazz had been sidelined since April 27th, suffering the hamstring strain while stealing second base in a loss for the Marlins against the Milwaukee Brewers. But Jazz getting 2 hits in his return. Read all about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And overseas, groups alleging human rights abuses against minorities in China are calling for a full-blown boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, a move likely to ratchet up pressure on the International Olympic Committee, athlete sponsors, and sports federations. A coalition representing many of these minority groups and others issuing a statement today calling for the boycott, eschewing lesser measures that had been floated like diplomatic boycotts and further negotiations with the IOC or China. The Beijing Games are set to open February 4th, 2022, just 6 months after the postponed Summer Olympics in Tokyo are to end. Rights groups have met several times in the last year with the IOC, asking that the Games be removed from China. A key member in the talks stating that this has, or confirming this is the case. We'll see what happens there. And more from the NBA, the regular season in the books now, and the playoffs are about to begin. Begins Tuesday, running through with the playoffs beginning Saturday, rather. So we'll keep you posted on that. That's sports. And that's the overnight. Time now for a first look at weather. Your first look at weather for this morning. High pressure is building across the islands as a frontal boundary is dissipating across the central islands now. Got some warnings from mariners to be alert for possible waterspout activity, and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along easterly beaches in the northwest and central Bahamas. For today, for the northwest islands, northwest and central Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Some heavy at times near the frontal boundary. Partly cloudy, breezy, and warm tonight with isolated showers and thunderstorm. Small craft should exercise caution. Winds northeast to east at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet. For the southeast Bahamas, partly cloudy, hot and humid with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm with isolated showers tonight. Gusty winds and higher seas in showers and thunderstorms. Winds northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. 76 degrees right now in Nassau. Look for highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news, smart talk all day.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Float Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Pamela Musgrove. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Bahamas.
Great to have you with us
Good to
as
be here.
always. Hope you had a wonderful weekend.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay, that's very good. The weeks are flying by.
Yes.
Flying by. This is crazy that we're almost at the end of May.
We are almost in graduation mode.
Yep.
Yeah.
It started,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's awesome.
And you're seeing it all over the internet. The students, Bahamian students who are in college abroad,
Right.
they're done and they've got all
Yes.
their degrees. So,
Yeah, that's it's an interesting times.
Yeah.
But yet we have to congratulate our students for getting through. Those who have successfully
right.
gotten through these difficult times.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And we can only imagine what's in store for them.
Yeah.
But all the best. All
Yeah.
the best to them.
Definitely.
All right, so we've got a lot to get to this morning, and we told you how you can join the conversation coming up. We've got more weather and traffic, and a lot to get to with what's in the news this morning. And then later in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about the livable wage. We've had a big discussion already just a few weeks ago with the group that did this study, and now they've released it. We got a preview of it ahead of time, but now that they've released it, there's some strong reaction to people who, in my view, don't seem to understand how this works. And so clearly we need a refresher course, and we're going to have that today. So we can all be on the same page here and understand what it really means. So that's coming up. But right now, let's get into what's in the news. And in the news, we'll get to the emergency proclamation and the possible extension of the emergency powers. We can get to that in just a bit. But we learned over the weekend of the passing of a broadcasting legend and a great Bahamian, Charles Carter, Sir Edward Charles Carter, passing away at 78. And younger Bahamians will know him from Island FM, but older Bahamians remember him from ZNS. And of course, he was in the House of Assembly as well, did so many things. Take a listen to this report from our Giorgio Bain. It looks back at the life of Charles Carter, Sir Charles, in this report.
Bahamian icon Sir Edward Charles Carter has died. During his 78 years, Sir Charles wore several hats, including broadcaster, member of parliament, cabinet minister, radio station owner, and co-chair of the National Independence Committee. Sir Charles was born on April 13, 1943, and grew up in New Providence, where he received his early education at St. John's College, and later graduated from Rhodes School in New York before moving to New York University in 1961, where he studied business administration. He furthered his studies at Rice University in Toronto, Canada, where he obtained a degree in broadcast management. Carter climbed the ranks at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas as radio announcer, program director, then general manager of television. Carter hosted Focus, the first Bahamian television series. He often spoke about his inner city upbringing.
Growing up in Baintown, I got all the brought up see I needed to go and face the world anywhere in the world. And I have faced the world in many ways, privately, and as a public servant, and as a representative of this country, knowing that whatever they gave me down on Augusta Street was world class. And everywhere I went, I made sure people knew who I was and what I represented.
In 1982, he was elected as the Member of Parliament for the Holy Cross constituency. While in the House of Assembly, he served as Chairman of the Broadcasting Corporation, Chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, and Deputy Speaker, amongst many more. In 1999, he was granted a license to open a radio station, and in August 2001, Island FM came on air. Carter also served as General Manager of the Nassau Guardian. As a proud Bahamian, Carter made it his mission to share with those abroad the history of the Bahamas and those great Bahamians who hail from its shores.
Because if I couldn't tell you about Joseph Spence and get you to appreciate that genius can come out of the bush, if I didn't tell you about Tony McKay and get you to know that growing up in Canaan Lane and coming to New York, that fella took over the village. If I couldn't tell you about Paul Mers and tell you he danced at the Folies Bergère in Paris, if I couldn't tell you about Sidney Poitier and told you he stole Broadway and ruled Hollywood, I'd find some reason to tell you about my country.
The Progressive Liberal Party said in a statement, "This marks the end of an era in the life of our country for the arts, broadcasting, and media." For decades, Sir Charles loomed over those spheres. He is survived by his wife, Lady Muriel Carter, two sons, Eddie and Mark, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Our Giorgio Bain with that story there, and as we salute the life of a great Bahamian there, and so many memories people have of him and the things he used to say. His voice was so memorable, so distinctive.
And a rich legacy.
Yeah.
And a rich legacy. And he talked about how he grew up on Augusta Street. And so for me, it's not about how or where you start, but it's your finish. And so a lot of people, say, oh, well, I can't achieve that because of where I was born or where I lived. But what he's showing us, it doesn't matter. The humble beginnings, your humble beginnings, but it's how you live your life and your achievements and when you finish. And I think he's left behind a great legacy for his children, his family, and for all Bahamians.
Absolutely, absolutely. The tributes are pouring in. Prime Minister Dr. McManus saying that Sir Charles was a genuine lover of Bahamian culture and a broadcasting pioneer. He said, quote, "Sir Charles was a cultural giant who did his part to ensure that knowledge of Bahamian culture passed on to successive generations. He loved our traditions and passed on this love with great exuberance and passion." Former Prime Minister Perry Christie remembered Sir Charles as a cultural icon, a statesman, and a dear friend. He said, quote, "It is difficult to conceive of what the cultural development of the modern Bahamas would look like without Charles Carter. He was, in this respect, a veritable tour de force in so many ways, each of them incredibly impactful and uplifting. More than any other radio personality of his or any other age, Charles Carter was the greatest exponent of indigenous Bahamian music that we have ever had. For decades, his Young Bahamian show celebrated the musical and creative genius of the Bahamas in such a profoundly learned and interesting way that it is unlikely ever to be matched." And former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram said that Sir Charles has been an important voice in broadcasting in the country. He said, quote, "A former member of Parliament and cabinet member in the Pinling-led government between 1982 and 1992, Charles Carter never permitted politics to interfere in his personal relationships. I remember well that when in the mid-1980s we went our separate ways politically, he remained a friend." Boy, Ed Bethel, another veteran broadcaster in the country and former Bahamas High Commissioner to London, describes Sir Charles as an icon. He said, quote, "He has been a household name in this country for 6 decades. Charles was an exceptional broadcaster, and we will never see his like again." And one more for you. Former Director of Culture, Dr. Nicolette Bethel, a distant cousin of Sir Charles, said he was a mentor and an inspiration. She found it difficult to put into words the precise impact Sir Charles has had on the country. She did say, though, quote, "Charles was knighted, and he really had to think about that because he was a big proponent of abolishing the Queen's honors. But he also understood, as a former politician, he understood the nature of the beast. So when he was given the Queen's honor, he did some soul-searching before he decided to take it. I spoke with him after he became Sir Charles. I called him to say, 'Congratulations, Sir Charles.' He says, 'You know, this is a rough one.' And he said, quote, 'I accept it for my mother, who would have been super proud, for my mother, for my father, for those who have gone before. I accepted it on their behalf.'"
I remember Oprah Winfrey said, sometimes it's difficult for people to accept compliment or accept honors. And she said, when someone does something nice to you or they compliment you or honor you, just say thank you. Thank you. And he's deserving of the honor.
Well, so we've lost another one. Another legend, another icon.
Please live a rich life.
Yep.
And that's what's, important. The legacy that you leave behind. I see a lot of persons around, just, living in the moment, wanting the power to say that you have it. But when you have to think about it, when you are off the scene, will people even remember you several years down the road? And what will they say about you? And I think it's important that people live with a legacy in mind, leaving something behind that generations to come can learn from and can be better because of the legacy that you have left.
Absolutely. So if you have tributes, memories of Sir Charles, you can call in, let us know, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796.
I don't know Charles Carter personally, but I got my first summer job at the Water and Sewage Corporation because of
Really
Charles Carter. He was a member of Parliament for Holy Cross.
Right.
And I lived in Nassau Village, and one of my family members connected.
Got the job
with,
through your MP.
Got the job through my MP.
As Charles Carter says, these are Bahamians. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Yes, that was my very first summer job that I got via my MP.
Yeah.
And actually, it was because of that job I decided I didn't want to be an accountant anymore.
Really?
Yes, I always wanted to be.
You owe him so much.
But after my experience of water and sewage, I said, nope, that's not it. I'm going to change my major.
Oh, boy.
But yes. And I guess he was like that, helping people any way that he could have.
That was wonderful. Wonderful stuff. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Morning, Pam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to the Bahamas. Well, boy, another son of the Bahamian soil has passed on, eh?
Yes, yes.
I I'm definitely calling to give my commendations to the life of and sympathies to the family of Charles Carter. Anybody who I dare say is but 40 years or older would have memories of Charles Carter as a broadcaster in particular. You know, one of the things that I thought about in recent years, because, you know, as we all know, he hosted those various different shows where he promoted and highlighted Bahamian.
Right.
I'm wondering if anybody ever had a show highlighting him.
I think so.
Interviewing
I
him.
think so. I think Anthony Newbold, at least I know that he has. Ace Newbold.
Yeah.
I hope there have been others, but definitely.
Yeah, because if that didn't happen, that would be a crying shame. Because Charles Carter brought out the things about us as Bahamians that really gave the Bahamas soul. And I would hate to think that the soul of this country that he reflected or was a part of was never brought to the forefront in that manner as well. You know, I would have had occasion to have spoken with him very seldom, last 10 years or so. And one of the things I appreciated about Charles Carter, I liked about him, no matter who you was as a Bahamian, Charles Carter would speak to you and encourage you to contribute to being Bahamian or to be more Bahamian. If it was writing, singing, whatever the case may be, he would always encourage you just to do those things that made you, reflected you, made you proud of being who you are as a Bahamian. So, I mean, so much to say, but I certainly do honor Charles Carter as one of the greatest Bahamian sons to have ever visited these shores, over his, 78 years. And I thank God for the life and that, that he, the life and times of Charles Carter. That's what I would like to see, a history, a biography, some kind of a book written, the life and times of Charles Carter, a Bahamian broadcasting hero, icon, whatever you may wish to call him. But thank you for the time allowing me to share on that one.
Thank you very much, JT. Thank you very much. In fact, I think you bring up a great point that we need our older Bahamians to not be afraid to write, to tell their story. If you don't want to write it, get with a ghostwriter, somebody who can tell your story. You've seen so many wonderful things that would make fantastic
I always
books.
believe that. Yeah, I think like even biographies, persons who are leaders in the community, write biographies, and so that the generation to come can learn about who you are and what you did to contribute.
Absolutely.
To this nation.
And to our two living former prime ministers, please, we're talking to you as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about
got
them.
At least two each in you. At least two each.
Specifically about them when I said that.
We are waiting.
Yeah.
We are waiting.
Yeah. Just get with somebody and just tell your story and let them put it together. I think it's important.
Yeah. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Early days, always along with you on Palm, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning.
Dwight, I'm going to give you my memory of him. When he was in college, he used to come back home, right? Of course, I had a cousin who used to work at his dad's record shop, right? And we were close family.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so...
Cody's, right?
Carter's on Market Street.
Okay, wasn't it Cody?
Off Bay Street. Me and Smokey 007, we were good friends. We grew up together, and we was friends until the day he died. And me and Smokey was out one night at Central Highway. That's where we used to go, to sing and stuff and dance, right? And he joined the party, right? He joined us, and he just came home from school, but not for good. He came in this pretty coat, and in those days, we used to dress to match. And this coat had a bunch of colors and very different from the pants. So I said, where this guy going with this pretty coat? And anyhow, we sat and we talked for a while, and that was a beautiful outing that night. Next time I met him, he was a minister for health. I needed to see a dentist, so I went to him, right? And he said to me, I'm going to give you the best dentist around. And he hooked me up with Dr. Russell. This guy, his dad used to teach music on Market Street. And anyhow, that really was a fond memory of him. So I want to give his parent and his family condolence. But he was a nice guy, and I appreciated him.
Yeah.
And I just thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
you.
You're welcome.
Boy. Yeah, no, it was Cody's. I remember
Yeah.
Cody's. No, I'm not going.
I remember
right, you remember
Cody's.
Cody's?
I
Yeah,
remember
it was definitely Cody's.
Yeah.
That was where
It was
one of the
next to
few
the Shell
places
gas
in town.
station where you were able to get
your
get
all your
VHS,
music.
yeah.
Back when people went out and bought music.
That's a long. Dwight, you're dating yourself,
right?
You're dating yourself,
Oh
Dwight.
man. I used to be so excited to go to
was
a
a
record
long,
store
long
to go to
time.
right to go and buy cassettes or CDs. Right?
Didn't they sell videos as well, like
remember.
movies? If there's a
Maybe.
scene, I think they sold.
Maybe
they
they
sold
did.
movies.
But I know they're mainly known for the music, and they had it. But yeah.
No, it must. Cause I never went for the music. Never. It was always the
Yeah.
VHS. If that's the same Cody's that I'm thinking about.
okay.
Yeah, it was always to get the movies.
Mainly, anyway, okay, maybe, but mainly music. I know it was music. It was music, all wall-to-wall music. Let's take one final call before we move on, as we remember Charles Carter, Sir Charles, this morning. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's going to give tribute to Carter family, especially my brother Alan Johnson, who died in Canada. Him and Charles really went way back in time. They used to travel a lot through the island. Did a lot of the setting up and stuff, and young Bahamian culture and show. And they go way back before my time. So he really played a part in our country in developing, knowing what the musicians were needed and what the country exposing the, persons who are in that field to say we need to expose the Bahamian and recognize the Bahamian artists who are now still struggling and not being recognized. So I just want to say tribute to him, his family, and Godspeed.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're squeezing that one. Yeah, let's take that one as well. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight and Palm.
Good morning.
Doing well. Good morning.
I didn't call to say much, but Bremen really was right on that one. The father had a record store called Carter's Record Store, and the son had one called Cody.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let's get the history.
So
of
it was
Bremen
both.
right on that.
All right, so everybody's right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, so Carter's was definitely before our time. I don't know. Wow. Okay. Hey, you see, this is what we're talking about, right? These are the things that need to be documented so people can know what it was like here.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to question or debate. Like, just go online and see, yeah, back then this would have been the hot place, and then it became this one. And yeah, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. All right, so again, our condolences to the entire family, and may you rest in peace.
Yep.
Okay, so this came out over the weekend that we're going to have an extension of the emergency order. It is not surprising to some, but will make others very angry. All right, Travis Cartwright Carroll writing about this in today's Nassau Guardian. Governor General Sir Cornelius Smith issuing a fourth proclamation declaring a state of emergency that gives the competent authority, Prime Minister Dr. Jimenez, up to another 6 months of emergency powers. The proclamation states that despite the fact that a national vaccination program is in progress, there remains a comparatively low percentage of fully vaccinated persons in the Bahamas. There is a third wave of infections on the islands of New Providence and Grand Bahama, which continues to cause illness and death in the Bahamas. And whereas, according to scientific and medical advice, COVID-19 is likely to persist as a pandemic in the Bahamas for the foreseeable future. The Governor General said he is satisfied that the COVID-19 pandemic continues to persist in the country. Now, the proclamation of emergency shall continue for a period of 14 days, unless extended by each House of Parliament by resolution continuing it in force for a further period as provided in Article 29, Section 5 of the Constitution. The proclamation issued on Friday was released to the media on Saturday. So a further 14 days, but up to 6 months longer if deemed to be necessary, if deemed to be needed. So as of Saturday, we've had 11,184 cases in the country since March of 2020. And there have been 220 confirmed deaths. Officials reported 51 people died with the virus, but not because of it. And another 26 deaths are under investigation. A total of 828 cases are listed as active, and 10,059 cases are listed as recovered. Now, there is opposition, of course. Opposition leader Philip Davis yesterday decried the new state of emergency. He said, quote, whereas the PLP supports enactments of measures supported by science, we cannot support the continued suspension of civil liberties by extending the state of emergency. With the Prime Minister's own Attorney General acknowledging that necessary health measures could be enacted via ordinary legislation, Bahamians understand that any move to extend the emergency powers has more to do with the state of Hubert Minnis's political health rather than with the state of public health. This isn't complicated. Minnis is scared. He does not want to debate COVID measures in Parliament. He wants to act without having to defend his decision-making. He's worried that he cannot point to science or common sense to justify the restrictions on the public. He certainly does not want scrutiny of how and with whom he has spent pandemic funds. Davis also says the country is in the middle of a deeply concerning third wave. He says the PLP party supported the initial emergency measures as necessary for the government to gain footing during a new crisis. But he says, quote, that was some 17 months ago. With new variants circulating, among other challenges, COVID will be with us for some time. As you recall, the first state of emergency was declared in March 2020, shortly after the country recorded its first case of COVID-19. Procedural oversight in the Office of the Attorney General led to the inadvertent expiration of the first state of emergency back in June of 2020, leading to the Governor General declaring a new state of emergency on the same day. Had that error not occurred, the 6-month period permitted by the Constitution for a state of emergency could have expired in September. The third state of emergency was declared on November 24th, 2020. Okay, so here we go, and we're going to break down what's changed with the latest emergency order. There have been some adjustments. We'll get to that in a bit, but let's get your overall reaction to this. 14 days extended for now, possibly up to 6 months if needed. The opposition saying they need the science. They want to debate this. Where is the science on this?
I mean, we are definitely in the midst of a pandemic. And so I think for the most part, persons accept restrictions to be placed on them. I would agree with the opposition leader in this comment that the emergency powers should be do away with, and these should be enacted. There should be laws governing the restriction during this time. We've been at this for over a year now, and I think by now they should have had gone to Parliament and to debate the legislation as it relates to the restrictions. Yeah. So I don't agree with the emergency orders. Notwithstanding we are in the midst of a pandemic, I think it should be enshrined in law to govern us during this time. All
right. Now, I always have hot debates about this when people say this, especially with Stephen on Fridays about this. But how would that work? What type of laws are you seeing there? What could they put into law that would govern our behavior during this time?
Yeah,
without there being an emergency. What are you talking about exactly?
Yeah, well, the idea of this is when these restrictions are made, they're not debated in Parliament. Right. The Prime Minister decides to go on the side, make restrictions as he sees fit, and then he dictates it to the country. We have a parliamentary democracy. We want these things to be in Parliament. That's where laws and stuff occur. And so
Right.
you can have, during this time, where you continue with social distancing, continue with all of the COVID measures, and the way you're doing it now with New Providence, all of these restrictions that are being done by the Prime Minister can be done in the House of Assembly via a debate and passed. As opposed to...
I mean, do you really think a law that says you have to socially distance yourself from somebody can pass and not be challenged in a court of law? I mean, on the constitutionality of it?
Yeah, because we are in a state, because of the pandemic.
Right there. What? But then but there's no state of emergency.
Yeah, but see, okay, you're saying that we're in a state of emergency, but you're opening up.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for the state of emergency, there's certain things. For instance, while the state of emergency is ongoing, persons cannot make their staff redundant. So I think there's some hidden stuff behind that we have this in place because of, as opposed to just we are acting like we are in a state of emergency. When this thing first started, we didn't know what was going on. We had one case and we locked everything down. Now the cases are growing, but we are opening everything up. So I think in addition to that, you can keep the curfew in certain places.
No, why would you have a curfew?
Because, like, for instance, in New Providence, we see the numbers are coming out, and over 90% of the cases are in New Providence. And so what is happening is the government is now...
So maybe a state of emergency for New Providence only.
It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be... I think you're thinking from the perspective that the Prime Minister declares it's a state of emergency, and then you have these laws governing or these rules that are put in place. This can be done in Parliament. Actually, it's natural for it to be done in Parliament as opposed to what's happening now.
All right, so this is where I have an issue, because the opposition leader is saying this as well, that these things are being done to restrict the movements and the rights of the people.
Well,
but
see,
if
I'm
you
not...
continue with a curfew, you're doing just that.
Well, see, like I said, the part I agree with the opposition leader is these measures should be in Parliament, debated in Parliament, and not one person or
totally
presumably one person deciding them. And so that's the approach that we should go. And then you would have advice and you'd have contribution from other members of Parliament on what to do to make it the best for all Bahamians.
Well, I agree with you on that. They definitely do need to discuss it, but I don't know how they're going to force people to wear masks or socially distance or
well, how can
have
you do it now,
curfews
Dwight?
Because we're in an emergency.
No, but or you're saying that because but we are in an emergency and we go to Parliament. It's the same thing.
Yeah, well, we can do that. That's fine. But
I have no problems
to make
with
a
saying,
law without the state of emergency that is going to require you to do these things and to keep a curfew in place is going to be very challenging.
Okay, I get it.
And I would definitely spend my own personal money to hire a lawyer to represent me as I sue the state.
Okay, I get it. We can say we are in a state of emergency and take it to Parliament. My problem is we're saying a state of emergency, but one person is deciding on the rules.
Well, I agree with you on that.
So I have no problems
That's
with
fine.
that.
Go to the
Take
House
it to
and
Parliament.
debate it.
Yeah.
Of course,
and
they'll
then
still pass it because they have the huge majority.
I agree. But then it will be more transparent.
Yes. Okay.
And then this will be the law governing everybody. And then you don't have certain persons who have direct contact to the competent authority being allowed to do certain things when other people cannot do it.
All right. I agree with you. I agree with you on that, definitely. Let's hear what you have to say, folks. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Blend.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I am trying to wrap my head around the statement that I heard that people are dying with the virus, but not because of it. Now, I think I can see a scenario too, but are you able to figure out at least one or two conditions where someone would be dying with the virus and they can prove that they did not die because of it?
I think that one of the examples that was given earlier on, and this is a kind of far-fetched example, like someone has COVID but got in an accident.
Yeah.
So then you
or you fell down the stairs. You got
thank you so
shot.
very much.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Right. All right. Thanks a lot. It is a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
But things happen.
But
things happen
other
all the
people can
time.
have other illnesses,
Yes,
and
right,
they got
other illnesses as
COVID,
well.
but then they didn't die
Exactly.
from COVID.
Right. You were going
Yeah.
to die from cancer anyway,
Yes.
and just had Yeah. So that has been happening. But when they brought up the accident one,
Yeah, I think it was just to make it understandable
Right.
first, and then you could build on that.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to take that call, and then we'll get to your text messages there. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say 2 points. I don't support the extension of the state of emergency orders, especially as a former hotel worker and a former furloughed hotel worker. The state of emergency orders, again, in my view, particularly for hotel workers now who have been furloughed now for over a year. This emergency orders, in my view, gives the employer all the right to continue to keep these workers furloughed. They have no option but to wait for the employer to either call them back or they can still make them redundant. I mean, I can't see how a government can continue to make a decision like this and not consider the workers. These workers are tired. Secondly, I traveled to Philadelphia to spend Mother's Day with my mother. That health visa, in my view, I don't understand the purpose of it. I had to take a PCR test to come back, which I agree. Why do I have to pay $40? And then the process is so tedious. I spoke to 1 or 2 tourists who said that, you know, they were on the phone lines for like 3-4 hours just trying to speak to somebody. I mean, at the end of the day, and I agree with this emergency orders that it should be taken to Parliament. How is it that after a year now, all we're doing is just keeping a state of emergency orders in place? I don't agree with it, and I think that we should stand up as a people and say, hey, how long are we going to continue to do this? It is wrong. Thank you.
Okay. Interesting.
You know, I agree with him in that, you know, I don't think this extending of this privilege for companies to not make persons redundant to get the payout. That's not right, because you can have someone waiting all of this time, and I think this was mainly targeted for the hotels. I don't think this was Bahamian businesses with generally in the mind. I think this was really for the hotels. So you can have someone not working at the hotel for all this time, and then when you open up, you can say, "I don't need you anymore."
Right. Yeah.
Right. I think that's wrong. I think it's been a year now. I think it should allow the market, allow the economy to run, and then determine where we are and what needs to be put in place in order to provide whatever assistance that needs to be provided.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what's we're taking that one. Yep. Okay, let's take this call and then we're going to take the break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
I don't agree with the extension of this emergency orders. Let me tell you the reason why. Okay, you're extending the emergency orders, and you're also saying to the Bahamian people and the general public at large, even around the world, that if you're fully vaccinated, you'll be able to travel to the Bahamas without taking a PCR test, right? And you'll be able to sit dine within. All right, so what is the emergency orders for? Does that make any sense at all? You're opening the country, but yet you want to hold the Bahamian at bay? Come on, man, go in Parliament and pass some medical laws.
All right,
okay?
This line in the statement from the Governor General is very important, right?
Pardon me?
This line in the proclamation is very important, right?
I understand that, but
let me read it so people who don't know. Despite the fact that a national vaccination distribution program is in progress, there remains a comparatively low percentage of fully vaccinated persons in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. That is going to weigh heavily on what happens here,
but
right?
Sir, with all due respect, that's not our problem. Let me tell you why it's not our
Whose
problem.
problem is that?
No, listen to me. Let me explain myself, sir, if you allow me. Why I'm saying that. We don't have sufficient vaccine as yet.
You know, I was just going to say that. That makes no sense, that statement.
Okay?
It makes absolutely no sense.
If 100,000 Bahamians go right now to be vaccinated, they can't.
They cannot.
Okay, so don't.
If 50,000 Bahamians go to be vaccinated, they cannot.
We are at fault for not going to take the vaccine.
All right, so all the more reason to keep the emergency in place until they get it.
I took the first vaccine. I've already got my appointment for my second vaccine.
Very good.
But guess what? Like I said to you just now, if 100,000 Bahamians go to take the vaccine, they can't. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's no excuse. First thing they should have been doing, they should have been testing all Bahamians. It's only 400,000+ of us. Come on, man. The PCR test is actually in the U.S. I think some places got it for about $2. Okay, I mean that if you were to purchase in abundance, this this is ridiculous what's happening here in the Bahamas, sir. Okay? And I guarantee you, within the next 6 months, election will be called. Okay?
All right, so what do you think? You should lift everything, drop the curfew,
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they should go in Parliament, debate the medical terms of what's going on, and then pass some new medical measures. That's what they need to do.
Didn't they do that before, way back in the last pandemic in 1919? There's legislation out there governing that.
Everybody knows something is sinister about what's going on, okay?
All right, let me one more question. So, pass measures like what? Medical measures like what? What would you want to see?
Listen to me. They're now moving away from wearing masks, okay? Because if you're fully vaccinated, if you're going into a restaurant and certain places you go and you don't have to wear masks, even in the United States and all around the world, okay? So that measure wouldn't be a measure they have to go and debate. Measures like, for instance, if everybody should be tested, that should be the first measure they need to go and pass medically, okay? Because persons are taking the vaccine and hasn't been tested. Do you realize if you take the vaccine and you haven't been tested and you're proven to be positive with the virus, it could counteract you taking the vaccine? That's the first thing they need to do. Start testing everybody, okay? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to take the break. When we come back, I've got a lot of your text messages, and we'll take more of your calls, and we'll get through what's been relaxed with the latest order from the competent authority. All of that coming up. This is Morning Blend on a Monday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley. They say they're shutting down that ransomware gang that forced the shutdown of the largest fuel pipeline in the U.S., leading to some gas stations on the East Coast running dry. But experts warn this might be another scam, an exit scam, they call it. Here's our Julie Walker.
Colonial Pipeline said Saturday it had resumed normal operations, delivering millions of gallons per hour. But drivers are still taking to social media to complain about empty pumps, and GasBuddy, which tracks shortages, has loads of outages reported by motorists in numerous states. Colonial was crippled by a ransomware attack earlier this month. Sources told the Associated Press the company paid DarkSide nearly $5 million in cryptocurrency. The pipeline handles about 45% of gas consumed on the East Coast.
Israel launched heavy airstrikes on the Gaza Strip this morning. It says it destroyed miles of militant tunnels and the homes of 9 Hamas commanders. The fighting between Israel and Hamas began a week ago. AP correspondent Joseph Krause reports from Jerusalem.
Israel is carrying out airstrikes more or less continuously in Gaza as militants fire rockets. So it's very possible that we will see more casualties today. Up to this point, I believe around 200 people have been killed inside Gaza, including dozens of women and children. And that toll is unfortunately expected to rise in the coming hours, days, as long as this conflict continues.
A former suburban Minneapolis police officer charged with manslaughter in Daunte Wright's death is scheduled to appear in court this afternoon. Kim Potter's former police chief says he believes she mistakenly fired her handgun, thinking it was her taser. Word just in that AT&T will combine its media operations with Discovery in a $43 billion deal. This is AP News. Turns out that CDC decision to allow fully vaccinated Americans to dump the mask in most cases is controversial. But CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says this isn't politics, it's science. And she says she understands that some people and some businesses may not be ready to give up the mask.
There's no need for everybody to start ripping off their masks. We have been told for 16 months to keep ourselves and our families safe by putting a mask on. Those behaviors are going to be really hard to change, and there is no mandate to take it off. What we're saying is now this is safe. Work at your own speed. Work with your own family and your own businesses to remove them when necessary.
She was on NBC's Meet the Press. A roller coaster with 22 people on it got stuck mid-ride at a Phoenix amusement park over the weekend. Everybody's safe. The fire department escorted them all off the ride. I'm Rita Foley, AP News.
Time for your Morning Blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we're already seeing some heavy traffic out there this morning. People got an early start today. We've got some Riley Butler Highway heavy traffic from well south of Fire Trail, the northbound lanes heading towards Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. Traffic backed up on Tawny Williams-Darling Highway as well, westbound at this hour. And over in Gladstone Road, also busy northbound lane heading towards JFK Drive, looking pretty busy this morning. Carmichael Road eastbound, slow going there, heading towards Blue Hill Road, and Blue Hill is busy from St. Vincent all the way up to Independence Drive, especially north of Soldier Road as you are in that northbound lane heading there. Northbound lane's heading towards Independence Drive and the roundabout there. Independence Drive also busy westbound heading towards that roundabout. Elsewhere on the island, we've got Prince Charles Drive, pockets at major intersections. And Eastern Road, the traffic is building there. Expect it to get heavier in a bit. Those are your hot spots for now. We'll have another real-time report for you just after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. We've got high pressure building across the islands as the frontal boundary is dissipating now across the central islands. Mariners should be alert for possible water spout activity, and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along easterly beaches in the northwest and central islands. For the northwest and central Bahamas today, forecast calls for partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and breezy, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, some heavy at times near the frontal boundary. Partly cloudy, breezy, and warm tonight with isolated showers and thunderstorm. Small craft should exercise caution. In the southeast Bahamas, partly cloudy, hot and humid with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm with a few isolated showers tonight. Gusty winds and higher seas expected in showers and thunderstorms. 78 degrees right now in Nassau. Look for highs getting up to 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows getting down to 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure will continue to build across the archipelago and bring strong breezes and building seas across the northwest and central Bahamas especially, while the remnants of the frontal boundary will continue across the central islands. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy to cloudy, warm and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms near the weakened front. Partly sunny and warm with isolated showers elsewhere. Wednesday, cloudy with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwest and central Bahamas. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. Basketball fans, you've got to sign up for Rev Trio, and you can enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free. Call 601-8992 or email trio@cablebahamas.com to sign up. Rev, you and us together.
The best place to get a new iPhone is at PTC. Make the iPhone 12 mini yours for just $199. That's big savings to go with our sweet postpaid value of unlimited local calls, international minutes, roaming data and minutes, plus all the data you need. Stream, share, and stay connected on the best LTE network when you switch to PTC. Visit a store to sign up today and get the iPhone 12 mini for just $199. Conditions apply.
Digital banking, online, RBC. RBC banking, online, pay your bills anytime.
RBC Digital Banking is so easy. Granny and Granddad can do it. Sign up for online banking or download the RBC Caribbean app.
With RBC, it's safe and easy. Send your money hassle-free. RBC.
Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/bank at home. RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Nasty. It's Monday, May 17th, 2021, and you're listening to the Guardian News Network Morning Report. Hello, everyone. I'm Sheldon Ferguson. Thanks so much for tuning in. Topping the news, the current state of emergency will continue for another 14 days unless Parliament extends it. Governor General Sir Cornelius Smith has issued a new proclamation effective May 14th, declaring that he is satisfied a state of emergency still exists in this country because of the COVID-19 pandemic. That declaration also cited a comparatively low percentage of fully vaccinated persons in the Bahamas, despite that national vaccination program, as well as a third wave of illness across New Providence and Grand Bahama, and scientific and medical advice that COVID-19 is likely to persist as a pandemic in the Bahamas for the foreseeable future. This country has remained under a state of emergency for some 14 months now, and the opposition is again refusing to support an extension. PLP leader Philip Davis, while conceding that this country is in the middle of a deeply concerning third wave, also argues that any move to extend the emergency powers has more to do with the state of Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis's political health rather than with the state of public health. In a press statement, Davis claims Dr. Minnis does not want to debate COVID measures in Parliament, wants to act without having to defend his decision-making, and does not want scrutiny of how and with whom he has spent pandemic funds. He claims that by failing to aggressively source vaccines, consult Bahamian doctors on the front lines, and make COVID testing free, the Minnis administration has done everything possible to make herd immunity unobtainable. Well, the latest emergency order, effective as of yesterday, relaxes COVID restrictions on some family islands and for fully vaccinated persons. The curfew on Abaco, Eleuthera, and Exuma has now been lifted, while curfews on New Providence and Grand Bahama will continue. Indoor dining is now permitted for the fully vaccinated on islands like New Providence and Abaco, where it was previously denied. Those customers, though, must provide proof of vaccination. Fully vaccinated individuals will also no longer have to take an RT-PCR test to enter the country, to travel from New Providence and Grand Bahama, or get that rapid test on day 5 of their trip. But a health visa will still be required for entry from abroad. The international travel health visa fee for the fully vaccinated, by the way, has also dropped to $10 for citizens and residents, while domestic travel visas for the fully vaccinated will now be free. There's also now a $10,000 fine and or 2 years imprisonment for anyone submitting false vaccination records. The easing of some restrictions come as the country has recorded 111 new COVID-19 infections since Friday, 101 of those on New Providence. 50 cases were recorded just Saturday, 44 on New Providence, 2 on Exuma, and 1 each on Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Inagua, and Cat Island. Total COVID-19 infections since the start of the pandemic now number 11,184. 828 of those are still active. 2 more COVID-related deaths were also reported Saturday. Health officials confirm a 73-year-old woman from Andros died Saturday, and an 80-year-old woman from New Providence died Thursday. Total deaths now number 220. Well, more than 24 people have been caught allegedly trying to use fake COVID-19 tests to travel. That's according to head of the COVID-19 Enforcement Unit, Chief Superintendent Zhivago Dames, who claims that type of fraud may be waning. Jasmine Brown reports.
The COVID-19 Enforcement Unit chief says ambassadors are remaining on high alert at ports across the country. As more people are choosing to travel, he says some are deliberately trying to beat the system.
We have, as I've mentioned, a number of persons who would have tried, some over 50-plus persons who would have tried to go through the airports with a fake fraudulent test, COVID-19 test. Over the last couple of weeks, though, days in particular, we have seen a decrease in persons who are presenting themselves to the airport with fraudulent tests. And so I think the message is getting out there. And so we want to say to the traveling public, please continue to do your best.
Police have said that over the last few months, there has been a proliferation of fake negative RT-PCR test results. A recent negative test result is required for travel for those who have not been fully vaccinated. Since March 2021, police have intercepted multiple fraudulent tests at Lyndon Pinling International Airport. Chief Superintendent Dames says travel protocols are there for a reason.
You can imagine if those 50 persons, possibly positive, got through to one of those islands that are in the first schedule, and if they are positive, can potentially spread the COVID-19 virus to those persons or those islands in the first schedule.
In March and April, several people were charged before the courts for allegedly trying to travel using fake COVID tests. Last month, Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt even urged police to bring masterminds making fake COVID documents before the courts. Ferguson Pratt said the Bahamas is being compromised by the use of fake COVID-19 tests and called the actions unacceptable. Meantime, Dames says COVID officers stationed at airports will remain vigilant.
If you intend to travel very soon, you must ensure that you have your COVID-19 test and also your travel health visa. We want to stress again that you are to obtain your travel health visa from a certified lab. So once you present yourself to the airport, you would then be checked by an ambassador to see if your health visa is actually legit and also if your COVID-19 test is legit. And so if we find that your COVID-19 test is fraudulent, the lab in which you would have obtained that travel visa from, that COVID-19 test from, that lab will be contacted. And if they were to say to us that your test is fraudulent, we want to say to you that you will be arrested.
Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, former Tourism Minister Obi Welchcombe believes government's decision to purchase the Grand Bahama International Airport may have come too late to rescue that island's economy, and he says appears to be lacking overall vision. Berthany McDermott explains.
While he supports government's decision to purchase Grand Bahama International Airport, which was ravaged by Hurricane Dorian in 2019, former Tourism Minister Obi Welchcombe is questioning how long it took to get to this point.
I think, though, that it should have been done as opposed to making a good look, a good photo op. I think there ought to have been a plan of action that should have been initiated a while back now, because when is it going to be ready? We're talking 2-3 years out. Okay, if we're talking 2-3 years out, then what is the overall tourism plan? What is the overall trade plan? What is the overall plan for growth and development of the island?
On April 29th, government wrapped up the purchase of the Grand Bahama International Airport. The plan is to redevelop the airport and issue a request for proposal within 90 days in order to finalize a public-private partnership to develop and manage the airport. However, Welchcombe said there appears to be no overall plan for the island.
You're just saying we're buying an airport, we're buying a hotel. What is a plan, though? How does it all fit together? Because that's what makes a difference, because then whatever we have to do today for that to be successful tomorrow should be done today. And we should start that, but a plan must be developed. And without the plan, it's hard to say what they're going to do, except we're going to build a new airport.
He stressed the importance of the government owning facilities that can boost economic development.
Because I think it's important for us to have and own the places that can cause for economic growth and development. I don't believe that we should be giving it away. I believe that we subject ourselves to the whims and fancies of others, and they wake up one morning and decide that we're not making any money, so they're gone.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, the police force is warning of a job scam which has already snared some Bahamians. In a statement, the force explained that residents here are being lured to the United States with the promise of a job ready and waiting for them at a resort in Orlando, Florida. The police say the named resort has no employment agreement with the individual or individuals prospecting in the Bahamas. Police are reminding the public that prior to accepting legal employment in the U.S., the appropriate work visa must be issued by the U.S. Embassy. Bahamians are being warned to be vigilant and avoid the dangerous scheme, which police say can have negative outcomes for its victims. Stay with us, there's more news after the break.
Hurricane season runs until November 30th. The Insurance Commission of the Bahamas encourages homeowners to be prepared. Review your insurance coverage today. Check your policy limit. Is it enough to rebuild your home? Have you accounted for everything you own and how much it's worth? Do you know the percentage of the hurricane or storm deductible in your policy? What disasters does your policy cover? For more information on how to prepare for hurricane season, visit www.icb.gov.bs.
Everything is changing, and your favorite hardware and home improvement store is getting with the program.
We Buy You Sell is rolling out its new online shopping feature. If you go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, it's a quick and easy 3-step process. Step 1, browse the gallery and select your item. Step 2, add to cart. And step 3, check out. Go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, to shop with us today.
How the exercise going? Not too good. What happened? Well, you know Mr. Junior make me one treadmill. Make? You know how he like tinker. Anyhow, he built this treadmill and he hook it up to one of them clothesline, which you could spin. You know the kind what I mean? You made the one what look like the upside down umbrella? That's the one. He figure that since I was working out, I just power up one of them clothesline, so he hook it up direct to the treadmill. Oh, so whilst you're walking, clothes spinning. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to you, eh? You know how heavy wet clothes is? But anyhow, I right there struggling to get the treadmill going. Slow. She start to go now. The treadmill going and the clothes spinning. This time now I building up speed. I running now. I running. The clothes spinning fast now. You're flying now? Yes, and so was the clothes. You would have thought he had enough sense to screw the thing down, eh? The clothes going? I see where they land yet. So what you gonna do? Go back to Superwash where I should have gone in the first beginning. Superwash, they washes your presses and cleans you 24/7.
What is it, Lumpkin? What is it with steel doors? Everybody asking if I got steel doors. I say, really got any? All I get is steel doors. I get 32 and 36-inch doors. I get 6-panel and 9-panel. I even get some with sun voice. And I've taken the guesswork out of my customers having to choose right color. All of my steel doors is white. Not only do I have doors, I have the wood and tools for you to hang them. And to sweeten the pot, I sell in all of my Milwaukee tools at 15% off. In answer to your question, I got a ton of doors and a ton of tools. And the tools going for 15% off. Sale runs through end of February.
Peter the Peanut Peddler bust up in sunrise that day and start hollering, "Airy nuts! Airy nuts!" So Bullock say, when your nuts that airy, just need one injection in your midsection and that over. Peter say, "Rank!" Today I got dark brown, light brown, light brown, and white. See him here. Well, as usual, Miss Wallace won't need to hear the last part of our conversation and get confused right up. She say, "We don't do no colorization and no nuts here. This a watch shop. Carry that freshness someplace else." And now Peter the Peanut Peddler, he in charge of peanut peddling for the whole of Montrose Avenue.
Sun Isles Watching Clock, number 112 Montrose Avenue. Watching Clock sales and repairs, and sometimes peanuts too.
Make your way all May to Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Rainbow Tuna 5-ounce can, 69 cents. Yellow Grits, 2 pounds or more, 99 cents per pound. Hellman's Mayonnaise, 30-ounce jar, $4.99. Sweet Strawberries, 1 pound, $4.99. Fresh ground turkey, $2.39 per pound. Super Value Winton open Sundays 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Super Value Cable Beach open Sundays 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Here's what you can expect when it's your turn to be vaccinated. After registering online, you will show up at your selected vaccination center on the appointed date and time. Remember to carry your ID along with your confirmation code for verification. Next, you will sanitize your hands and have your temperature checked before checking in and joining the queue. When it is your turn, you will be directed to a vaccination station, and a healthcare provider will fill out your vaccine information card and administer the vaccine. You will then be sent to an observation area where you will wait for 15 minutes and be monitored for signs of any adverse reaction. In the case of emergencies, vaccine sites are equipped with an emergency setup where a doctor is on standby. After the 15-minute wait, you are free to go. Be sure to monitor any symptoms over the next few weeks and remember to schedule your second dose within 8 to 12 weeks. It's your choice, your chance to protect yourself. Register to get vaccinated for COVID-19 today at vax.gov.bs.
Welcome back. The late Sir Edward Charles Carter is being remembered as a cultural giant and a broadcasting pioneer. That from Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who in paying condolences said Sir Charles did his part to ensure that knowledge of Bahamian culture was passed on to successive generations with exuberance and passion. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie remembered his dear friend as a cultural icon, statesman, and the greatest exponent of indigenous Bahamian music that we have ever had. He added it is difficult to conceive of what the cultural development of the modern Bahamas would look like without Charles Carter. Meantime, former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham remembered Carter as an important voice in broadcasting who resigned his Senate appointment so he could become eligible to hold a broadcast license, later opening a radio station, Island FM, dedicated to the promotion and advancement of Bahamian music and culture. Sir Charles, veteran broadcaster and former cabinet minister, died in hospital Saturday at the age of 78. Well, that's going to do it for local news. Stay with us. AP News is next.
Serenity Gated Community. Come and see what all the buzz is about surrounding our pre-construction home packages. Already, we have successfully made it possible for multiple families to realize their dream of home ownership. It's all about value building, folks. Home investment is by far the greatest investment one will ever make, so invest with confidence. Give Desiree Mingo a call at 376-0318 today.
Welcome home. Apex Award Signs and Engraving is excited about this summer's graduation. Celebrate your graduates with high-quality custom graduation signs, available at great low prices. Need custom printing on apparel, promotional merchandise printing, or photo imaging services? No problem. You can get personalized diploma covers, plaques, plates, albums, clocks, pens, pencils, and so much more. Say congratulations to the class of 2021 with signs, hanging banners, and expressing appreciation on social media. Celebrate 2021 graduates with your own custom yard sign, banner, or poster. From Apex Award Signs and Engraving, number 128 Mount Royal Avenue, or on Wilton Street, a block north of McCartney's Pharmacy. Open weekdays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 9 to 1.
I bank wherever I want thanks to Scotia Online and Mobile. I bank from my garden. I bank from my living room. I also bank from my kitchen. No need to wait in line. Now when I bank with Scotia, I bank on my own time. Seniors, you too can bank your way any time of day without ever going into a branch. Find out more. To get started, visit bs.scotiabank.com/digital seniors.
Give me my pizza right away. Tidy move quick, no time to wait. No long lines inside the place. Little Caesars, I love the taste. Hot and ready. Just come now, you don't have to call, now you don't have to wait. Hot and ready. Large pepperoni, $7.99 every day. Hot and ready. Oh, yeah. Straight out the oven and freshly made. Hot and ready. Little Caesars is hot and ready. Little Caesars is. Get yours now at Oaksfield, Carmichael Road, and now East Street South, Pineapple Plaza.
Pizza, pizza. Don't wait for disaster to strike. This hurricane season, be ready. Protect your home with an affordable and comprehensive home insurance policy from Shield Insurance. You can't control what nature blows your way, but with Shield Insurance, you can rest easy as you ride out the storm. Protect your largest and most valuable investment. Don't take a chance. Put your home in our hands.
Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau, call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
At Master Technicians, we have what your family traditions need, starting with industry-best refrigerators, ranges, and ovens. We also carry Whirlpool washer and dryers, dishwashers and freezers, leading KitchenAid countertop appliances, blenders, microwaves, juicers, kettles, and KitchenAid stand mixers. We even do free delivery in New Providence or to the boat of your choice. Whether you're doing the laundry, creating new memories in the kitchen, or spending family time in front of the television, Master Technicians Limited, keeping family traditions alive for more than 50 years.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
If you're a business owner, get ready because the digital transformation is here. As a business owner, you now face the choice between innovation and extinction, but you don't have to get left behind. Join the click with Cable Bahamas Business Solutions and transform your office to get the competitive advantage. With innovative solutions like our fixed and mobile services, hosted PBX, Bahamas Cloud, and more, you can redefine your business. For more information on how you can join the click, contact the experts at Business Solutions at cablebahamas.com.
This traffic report is...
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:20, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got high pressure building across the islands as the frontal boundary is dissipating across the central islands. Mariners should be alert for possible waterspout activity, and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along easterly beaches in the northwest and central Bahamas. Your forecast for today for the northwest and central islands: partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and breezy, with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Some may be heavy at times near the frontal boundary. Tonight, partly cloudy, breezy, and warm, with isolated showers and thunderstorms. More craft should exercise caution. For the southeast Bahamas, partly cloudy, hot, and humid, with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm with isolated showers tonight. Gusty winds and higher seas in showers and thunderstorms. High temperatures today getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure will continue to build across the archipelago, bringing strong breezes and building seas across the northwest and central Bahamas, while the remnants of a frontal boundary will continue across the central Bahamas. So for Tuesday, look for partly cloudy to cloudy, warm, and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms near the weekend front. Partly sunny and warm with isolated showers elsewhere. Wednesday, cloudy with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwest and central islands. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. 8:22, time for another check of your traffic for today, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Independence Drive, seeing some heavy traffic in both directions, east and westbound, looking pretty messy there. You might want to avoid Independence Drive as you can. Perhaps Robinson Road or Soldier Road might do better for you at this hour. Elsewhere, we've got Blue Hill Road just north of Soldier Road, seeing some heavy traffic there, heading towards that roundabout with Independence Drive. And we've got Smart Butler Highway, as usual, heavy traffic well south of Fire Trail in the northbound lanes, heading towards Tonic Williams-Darling Highway. And Gladstone Road also busy this morning, northbound, heading towards JFK Drive. JFK Drive, you're going to be seeing traffic along the lake there, eastbound, heading towards that roundabout with Gladstone Road, and backed up westbound with heading from Tonic Williams-Darling Highway up to Gladstone Road. So that's also going to be congested for you today. Seeing some building traffic at the six-legged roundabout and along West Bay Street as you approach Saunders Beach. Then we've got Bernard Road looking pretty busy this morning, especially westbound, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive and Eastern Road as well, from about San Souci up to Johnson Road. You'll be seeing that heavy traffic there. That is your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Run away. What I would have been if I did listen what people say. I move in my pleasure, won't fall under the pressure. Don't trouble no water, baby. Don't ruffle no feather, baby. I don't need nobody. I did it on my own, did it on my own. When I was young, mama told me to never beg. Now I go up and I get heads. Going off of what mama said. If you don't have it, you can do without. If you play with that puppy, he can lick your side your mouth. Now I won't say
back here with the Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove on this Monday morning. We have been remembering Sir Charles Carter this morning. We're also talking about the emergency proclamation, the emergency powers extended, and getting a reaction to that. And in a few minutes, we want to talk about this interesting report that we have in today's NASA Guardian, and a report that Guardian News did on shantytown residents, some things that they're saying that you're going to have you scratching your head. But we'll get to that in a bit. All right, so just want to quickly go through this, what's been relaxed with the new emergency order. Rachel Scott writing about it today. The latest emergency order, which came into effect yesterday, relaxes funeral and dining restrictions and eliminates COVID testing requirements for travel from all family islands. It also lifts the curfew for Abaco, Eleuthera, and Exuma. The curfews on Grand Bahama and New Providence will remain in place. Right? The change in protocols means expensive PCR tests are no longer required for those traveling to other islands from Abaco and Eleuthera. Testing requirements remain in place for travel from Grand Bahama and New Providence for anyone who is not fully vaccinated against COVID-19. So according to the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Order 2021, it says, quote, a person who's not fully vaccinated and is 11 years old or younger, a pilot or crew member of a commercial air operator who is required to overnight not more than one night in the Bahamas or traveling from any island except Grand Bahama or New Providence to any other island shall not be required to undergo an RT-PCR test in order to obtain a travel health visa. Okay. Additionally, the latest order provides that travelers with a valid health visa can embark on multiple inter-island trips during the period of validity of that travel health visa and not be required to obtain a new RT-PCR test to return to respective originating island. That order signed by the Prime Minister coming shortly after the Governor General ordered that declared a fourth new state of emergency in the country, giving the Prime Minister, as the competent authority, up to another 6 months of emergency powers. The latest order permits funerals to be held in religious facilities on all islands except for New Providence. And for months now, only graveside services with a limited number of attendees have been allowed for second scheduled islands, which includes Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, and New Providence. So the new order reads that a funeral may be held in a church or other religious facility, provided that the number of attendees is limited in accordance with the Physical Distancing Protocol Order 4, and subject to any protocols issued by the Bahamas Christian Council and approved by the Ministry of Health. This order shall apply to all islands listed in the second schedule except for New Providence. Funeral repasts are still banned on New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, and Exuma. And the latest order also allows for fully vaccinated people to dine indoors at restaurants. A restaurant may operate on Sundays between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., utilizing drive-through takeaway and outdoor dining only. A restaurant may operate utilizing indoor dining, provided that all patrons inside are fully vaccinated and provide documentary evidence of such vaccination. Okay.
So you have to travel with your vaccine card.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right, let's get your reaction to that. We've got a lot of your text messages to get to. Let's take this call. They're still there. Yeah. And then we'll get to your messages. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning. Not there. Okay. You can call us back. Let's read some of these messages. Some of these go back a little ways. This one, Sir Charles was a great man, and he will be missed. I lived a few doors down from him. Also like him, are with, I guess, Baintown roots. A nation has lost a great person. People like him and Missouri Sherman Peters put Baintown on the map. Yeah. Dwight the Bahamas has lost one of our greatest sons. Whenever the question is asked, who is a Bahamian? Sir Charles Carter is it. I've known him for many years. A great man. May he rest in peace. And then others correcting us again about the shops. The father had Carters and the brother had Cody's. Yeah, okay. So this music was in their blood.
Yes.
Everybody. Yeah. I've concluded that this emergency order seemingly will last until the elections. Yeah? Okay. This one says here, if they passed laws in Parliament to govern COVID instead of the emergency orders, the Israelites will still complain. Well, some will, absolutely, because it's going to be a tough.
Do it the right
sell.
way. Do it the appropriate way. I can understand the emergency orders and them designating a grouping to determine them initially. But we have been at this now for over a year. And everybody is saying COVID is here to stay. Right? So by now, they should have already went to Parliament and put the necessary measures in place, as opposed to still operating like as if we have just learned about this virus, given all the information that we have supposed to have garnered since this started last year.
Yeah. This text here, I think the emergency orders have been extended only to curb, I guess it's saying, hundreds, if not thousands of, I guess maybe to prevent hundreds of thousands of complete job losses. There are still hundreds of employees still furloughed who, after a certain amount of days after the emergency orders ends, can be made redundant. It's buying time for employers, in my view. You said something similar to that earlier.
Yeah, but I think the challenge with that is persons are furloughed, and then their employer can decide that, you know what, I don't want you back after being furloughed for so long.
Right. Yeah. Yep, that's very rough.
And I think it's unfair to the workers.
My God, if they do that, I can. Oh boy. Okay, this one here. The reason why people are dying because of the vaccine. What now? No, I'm not going to continue to read that there. That's ridiculous here. The media should take some of the blame for this continuous state of emergency. Yeah? Bring on a statistician to explain the data. What are we talking about? Which data? What type of data? And consider that all the COVID horror stories you've heard represents about 1% to 3% of COVID cases. Also, the medical community pretending that natural immunity isn't occurring is immoral and wrong. They need to inform and stop trying to persuade. Well, how do you know? How do you know? Again, we're not sure how long the natural immunity will last. That's the challenge.
You know, I was doing some reading on the last pandemic in 1918, and I wanted to see if a vaccine was established to get them out of that. No, it was allowed to spread, right? See, the way I look at this is me looking at this from the information that's presented, right? There's one way we can get out of this. That's herd immunity. And you achieve herd immunity by two methods: the vaccine and the virus being allowed to spread. There's no other way, right? And so I see what the U.S. is doing now by saying, okay, vaccinated people can dine indoors and they can be in certain instances and they could be outside, not wear their masks. I think the U.S. is trying to, in addition to the vaccine, allow this virus to also spread, because the idea when this first started, the reason why we were locking down was so as not to overwhelm the healthcare system. Mm-hmm. Those vulnerable people, right? We didn't want the system to be overwhelmed. So if you can get the vulnerable vaccinated, as much of them as possible, then people who get the COVID is not a bad thing. If you are asymptomatic and it doesn't have serious effect on you. Because that's how this lockdown started. It was just so we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. Yeah. So more people need to get this virus because the vaccine rollout, more healthy people then. Healthy people, because the vaccine rollout is not fast enough. I mean, we're talking about our low rate, right? We've I think got committed for 100 and some.
Yeah. Well, you and I were talking about this off
doses.
Air, though, right? Healthy is the issue, because the people who think they're healthy here often have so many underlying issues that they never knew about, and then they end up getting very, very sick.
Yeah.
Because you aren't as healthy as you look or felt. You've never been to the doctor. You've never had a checkup. You've never done any of the things you're supposed to do. And so you think you're healthy and you think you're invincible, and you go out there around people and you're like, whatever, and this ain't going to do nothing to nobody. And you are one of the main people who has the big target on your head.
Yeah, but that's the challenge that we have.
So just take the vaccine.
If you don't want to take the vaccine, the only other way to get herd immunity is to get the virus.
Oh, okay. Well, you better make sure you're healthy first.
Which medicine are you going to pick in order for us to get out of this? Because I think
they're the same types who won't go to the doctor for the regular annual checkup to find out, right? The same types. So you walking around here, I'm not taking any vaccine, but you haven't had a physical since 1999. And yeah, okay. You're looking for trouble.
I just think at this juncture, with the world beginning to gradually open up, locking down and hiding away is only going to cause this virus to linger for a long period of time.
Oh, boy. Okay. Let's read a few more messages. Someone says here, take the vaccine and the importance of taking it. The more people vaccinated, the quicker we get rid of the emergency orders. The fact is, the government said they need 50 to 70% of the public to be vaccinated. Once that is all done, they can open things up.
Yeah, well, we only know of with COVAX. I think we have another 30,000+ of the vaccine under COVAX right now, expected in country, if not later this month, next month, right? And so until we can see our way clear, where we can see at minimum another 800,000 doses of the AstraZeneca, or maybe less if you get in Johnson & Johnson, then we can't see our way clear in terms of having a large percentage of the population vaccinated.
This text here, we talked about this earlier, but anyway, the majority of payments are not presenting for the vaccine, which is a problem. The vaccines are available, but still not in the numbers that are needed.
And that's confusing to me, right? Because I think when this dose that we got in, when this batch came in, we had about 33,000 persons who had already gotten the first shot. Right? So I don't think I think that is a good thing. 33,000, and at that point we had only 53,600 in country. With this additional 32,000, that take us to about 86 or so thousand in country. Half of 86 is 40 something. So you have to be, because we have to get 2 doses of this vaccine, you have to be careful in terms of how you do your math and your calculation. Yeah. So I think up to the point where we got this last batch of 33,000, I think that is good. And I think what authorities need to be doing now is to ramp up their education.
Right.
Are you ready is not education. Everybody going around the office saying, are you ready? It's not. That's not education. That is explaining to people, because people have concerns.
Yeah.
And that's breaking down this to their level in terms of where we are at with the vaccine and what is needed. Like I mentioned, there's only one way out of this for us as a country, for the world, is herd immunity. And only 2 ways you can get herd immunity. Either you get the virus or you get the vaccine.
And again, you're not too certain about getting it, how long that'll last. But you do get something.
Well, that's how they got out of it in 1918.
So not quite the same thing that we're dealing with, but it's...
I mean, the death rate was high, and we don't want that. But that's basically how they got out of it.
Here's a text here. We must remember that in 1918, we had an uncodified constitution which allowed for constitutional rights to be easily trampled on. This is not the same case now. Our codified constitution only allows constitutional rights to do away with under extreme measures through the avenue of a state of emergency. And they go on to say, I find it hilarious to hear the leader of the opposition talking about show us the science, when at the beginning of this pandemic, he wasn't showing up to the medical briefings. The intellectual dishonesty is sickening. But he also was he had to be whisked away because he was ill from COVID too. So yeah, Parliament is where laws are made and repealed. Can the lawmakers in Parliament decide which health laws to retain and which to relax? Please do not suggest that this is a complicated matter for Parliament to put into law.
It's not.
Well, it may not seem to be, but again, you can't justify to me why you are having a curfew if we don't have an emergency, and you will just look around. But if you tell me to look around, but you don't have a state of emergency, why are you forcing me?
We are in the midst of a health emergency.
Yes, so why?
We're saying go to Parliament and pass law to support the restrictions that you are doing. Simple.
No.
Yes.
Is the state of emergency going to still be there?
We are in a health emergency.
No. You can't.
Huh?
Have you declared a state of emergency?
You mean if we go to Parliament to pass a law?
Pass this law for a curfew. No, I don't think it is a state of emergency. I don't think it is. I personally don't think it is. If you're going to just say we want a law to have a curfew. And
it's
I don't
not just
believe
a
you.
curfew. It's
I
other
mean, but
stuff.
let's explain. Someone's talking about, you talk about a curfew. Why would that be in place if we don't have an emergency?
Okay, so your issue is saying that we are in a state of emergency.
That could be the only way you could justify a curfew for me. And by legally, I think it could be challenged. I think you could easily challenge why would you have a curfew?
Right now, only New Providence
Yes.
has a curfew.
Because we are under a state of emergency.
Right.
Yes.
So the other family islands it has been removed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's no emergency apparently.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But when the state of emergency is gone, what will be the justification for the curfew?
if you have benchmarks, if you're going according to data and you say as long as your positivity rate is X, we want this curfew to remain in place. And when it's improved, then we know, okay, it went down, so now we can lift this
So it
curfew.
means you're keeping the state of emergency.
I think you hang up on the state
Why
of
would
emergency.
you have me under a curfew? What is the restriction for? That sounds
from
like the
what I
numbers of
understand,
flu. That
they
sounds
want to
like the same
restrict
numbers
the
of flu.
movement of persons because of COVID. Like
right,
you said,
because
so
there's an emergency.
Yes.
Right. So when you lift the emergency, what are we doing?
You just kept the curfew
No,
because there are other stuff under this emergency.
Oh,
no,
no.
They're
Let's go to court.
sanitizing,
Let's go
wearing
straight to
masks,
court.
wearing
Let's
masks.
go straight to court.
All of these things
No
exist
way.
under the curfew.
Well, we could have done
under
that.
the emergency.
Oh, okay.
So now when you go to Parliament,
No day
you will
like
just
it.
put in law certain restrictions that
Military
you want to.
state.
No.
Dictator.
Oh, so you feel you.
Why would we do this?
So you're okay with this being a state of emergency and a group of persons or one person determining, as opposed to actually going to Parliament to put temporary laws in place to govern this time that we're in.
You still need to go to Parliament to justify the state of emergency. Let's go through this and say, well, how come last year when the numbers weren't this high at this time, you did this, but you're not doing that now, right? So let's debate this and go, as the leader of the opposition says, show us the science for it. If you've got the science, we can justify supporting you with this state of emergency.
Okay, so if they keep everything else, the mask, sanitizing, taking your pressure before
Why
you
would
enter
make me wear a
establishment,
mask? Why am I wearing a mask?
because we're in the midst of a health emergency,
So
and they
you're still
removed
under
the
health-
curfew, and they removed the curfew. You're okay with that?
No, because wait, are we keeping the state of emergency?
We are in a health emergency.
No. You just can't say that. Are we under a state of emergency?
We are in a health emergency, and we can go to Parliament to
We're
pass
also in a
laws to
social
govern us.
emergency, a crisis of social. We've got people getting murdered almost every day. So what? What about that?
Well, that's not considered
an
an emergency.
Okay. Well,
That's
we've
not
got
considered
a lot
an
of people losing
emergency.
their lives over that too every year. Big numbers. So then again, like that'll all have to go away, and we have to take our chances.
I prefer us to go to Parliament to pass law and to debate it in Parliament as opposed to
state
having
emergency. Okay. All right. Let's read some more messages, then we've got to take a break. This one says here, we're here talking about COVID, which is important. All the beaches along the Eastern Road in Yamacraw are being walled off and chained off from the public. All except Saunders Beach in the west have already been claimed. If I'm correct, there are perhaps only 3 or 4 beaches available to picnic. Why is the government allowing people to own the picnic areas of the beaches if they live opposite the sea? That's wrong. People are being hoarded together in the middle of this island like animals. And people trying to tell us what time to go to sleep. Yeah, I added that last part, not the texter. That was me. So, but yes, all great questions. We are all being told what to do by our overlords. More
Because
of that to
they know
come.
better.
More of that to come.
They know better.
When they start passing those laws for no reason.
That's what you're afraid
For
of.
no reason.
That's what you're afraid of.
No
if they go to
reason.
Parliament and do this temporary,
It won't be
laws,
temporary.
Yeah,
You
it has
watch.
to be.
Oh, we like it because the murder rate is down since we had this curfew thing. And okay, so yeah, let's keep it in. It's keeping people safe. And next thing you know, 25 years later, the curfew is still in place.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Sure.
No. I see where you have your
It's
issues.
very scary.
But no, I'm not concerned about that because, like I mentioned, you put in laws in place, and this will force our leaders to really use the data available to them. Right? You put in laws in place, and I'm doing this because of this.
Oh.
How do we know that we're in a third wave? What is the definition of a third wave as it relates to us?
That all that should happen.
No, but why are we saying that?
Yes.
What is the positivity rate? What is the R rate? Is a third wave because it just seems like that because the cases are going up? But how do we know we're in a third wave? And those measures would be placed into legislation. Or could be.
You're heading down a very slippery slope there. I really feel it. Okay, this text here, and then callers, we'll get back to you in just a moment. Let me just read these, and we've got to take a break. This person says, I contracted COVID in April of 2020. I'm a relatively healthy person. I had a fever for a day and was given a blood test and COVID test, which came up positive for COVID antibodies. I go nowhere in public or work and without a mask. After work, I stay home. Okay. It's, very contagious in shocking ways. All right. It appears that this is being forced upon us. Also, what's going on with the barbershops? My barber got shut down yesterday. It's now being said that they can't operate on Sundays, one of their busiest days. Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Even with social distancing?
See again, all of these rules that are in place that people don't know of.
It's too arbitrary.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. That's why we need to go to Parliament so everybody could know exactly what is what.
Yes, and challenge the competent authority on what is being done under the emergency order.
Transparency, and not these rules that, this person got it, but then that one down the road, he's allowed to open up.
It's very strange.
No, that's wrong.
That has to be done away with. This one here, as it relates to COVID-19, there is no herd immunity per se. The evidence has shown that COVID can be caught multiple times even after fully vaccinated. With or without vaccination, we ought to still be mindful of our individual protocols and responsibilities.
Yeah, you would probably get it, but they're saying with the vaccine, it reduces the seriousness of the virus to the point where you may not be hospitalized or even die from it.
Yeah. This one here, it's not the media's job to persuade or dissuade vaccination. Try to stay objective. I think you're very wrong, and you're also talking nonsense. That's crazy. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, is your co-host suggesting that we just spread the virus? The Spanish flu infected 500 million people, about a third of the world's population at the time, and killed between 17 and 100 million people. Science and communications must have improved between 1918 and 2021. Pam?
No, I'm not suggesting. I'm just telling you from what I gather.
Two options.
Herd immunity is arrived at by two options. You take the vaccine or it spreads.
It's pretty clear. Yeah. Okay, we got a lot more messages. We'll get to those. We'll get to your calls. I think we may have to get to that shantytown story, but that's something we have to talk about, what people are saying there. And, folks are saying how much they're paying rent to, and yet they don't have a kitchen or a bathroom, where they're paying rent to somebody, and we still aren't saying to whom they are paying the rent. Right? Those people are getting scot-free. Nothing happens to them. What's happening here? This will only continue. This will only continue if we continue to play these games. Anyway, let's get back after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best. Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Ensure that you only visit reputable and secure websites when paying for goods and services with your CIBC First Caribbean Visa debit or credit card online. You can tell if a website is secure if it has an HTTPS at the beginning of the URL or the lock and key symbol appears. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass. Only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free along with incredible prizes, including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Meet Jackie. Jackie's a hard worker with a steady income, but she has a personal loan and multiple credit cards to pay off. To keep her account current, Jackie opted for a loan from Fidelity Bank to consolidate her debt into one monthly payment and earn interest on a built-in savings account. Be like Jackie. Call 356-7764 to book a complimentary financial coaching session. Fidelity also offers virtual assistance. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Never give out your credit or debit card personal information over the phone unless you initiated the call and you have verified that you're dealing with a reputable merchant. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different. Better. Now, imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL. Growing wealth for future generations.
The best place to get a new iPhone is at BTC. Make the iPhone 12 mini yours for just $199. That's big savings to go with our sweet postpaid value of unlimited local calls, international minutes, roaming data and minutes, plus all the data you need. Stream, share, and stay connected on the best LTE network when you switch to BTC. Visit a store to sign up today and get the iPhone 12 mini for just $199. Conditions apply.
RBC has been growing with the Bahamas for over 110 years with new ways to bank better. We are committed to deepening our relationship with existing clients and forging new ones in the future with new products and services and investment in the community, youth, and education initiatives. We are here to help you grow.
We're here to help you flourish. We're RBC.
RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
See one over there, right there. There's another one right there in your hair, right there. So Kill that roach.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. This person says here, normally I disagree with Dwight. Whoa, wow. But he's right this time.
No, you agree with Dwight this time. Not necessarily that Dwight is right this time. The person agrees with you this time.
Oh, boy.
But I don't think there's right and wrong. You're just debating different sides to an issue.
Okay.
Which is what they're supposed to be doing in Parliament, by the way.
To seek what's wrong within you, dear texter, as to why you disagree with me. Address that issue. Okay. Are you taking calls? Yes, we are. We've been doing that. But let's take some more. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Okay. Emergency order or not, the FNM will fall. We will correct that horrible mistake. Mr. Christie, please forgive us. What now? Okay. We're in the middle of a third wave, so it is proactive and responsible to extend the emergency order, to extend the state of emergency. Without a state of emergency, there is no other way under the Constitution to do away with civil liberties. I would still like to see the legislation that the AG is proposing. And I think the fact that we haven't seen that yet is proof that they are having a very hard time with that one. How do you do this? How will you control people if there is no reason for it?
Well, it could be they're having a hard time or they don't want to.
Oh, well, maybe that as well. Let's take these calls. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight and Bob.
Hi, good morning.
Wonderful. There is an act, Dwight. It's called a Quarantine Act that operates basically the same as the Emergency Orders Act. It is a quarantine act that you can achieve. It's basically the same thing that the competent authorities doing. I think they're using this thing now.
Yeah, that quarantine act is for people who were sick, right? And so to control the behavior of healthy people will be nearly impossible by some law.
Yeah, but at this stage in the game, Dwight, taking like Bob say, when you analyze the data, the data says that pre-vaccination, 98% catch and recovery rate. That's without the vaccination. Now that the vaccine has come along, that pushes that number basically almost 100%. So the people that are really going to be affected is very negligible number. You understand? So my cry always has been, fix the hospital, fix the nurses, fix the doctors. That is what they sign on for. No.
So by what you're saying, that means you're saying that we have no reason to be under a state of emergency at all.
No, because this disease isn't like cancer. After all the data is in, or something like that where your arms or your fingers is going to drop off. This disease is focused on the immune system. I haven't heard anybody, any doctors or competent authorities say, boost your immune system. That is the key to this disease. Because without saying all of that, we still at a 98% catch and recovery rate. So it's just immune system. There's no need at this stage for no panic. And like Pam say, either through vaccination or through involuntary inoculation, that's the only way we can achieve herd immunity. That's what we're looking for. You see? And there's more persons that are being vaccinated than the competent authority knows, because I have a daughter that works with Royal Caribbean Cruise. They're taking a cruise ship full of them to Florida next week to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So it's a lot more people that are doing it on the side than going through here locally with the Indian vaccine. You know, so you don't need to panic.
I agree, and I know a number of persons who have traveled overseas.
Yeah, and got it.
And got their vaccination, yeah.
Yeah, so one way or another, we getting there. You understand?
We just need the data. We just need the data, and we need persons who are spearheading this to use the data to communicate with us.
Use the data correctly. That's why all the panic now, you know, the latest panic is alleged that the area in which they administer the vaccine.
Okay. And this sounds like something you shouldn't repeat. Is this going to cause panic? Should you repeat that? I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be.
No.
Let's not contribute to that. But okay. But we thank you.
Hold on, don't cut me off.
Don't say that part,
though.
though.
Other fellas off. I have to say this.
No, you don't.
But it is alleged that the area in which the vaccine is administered, you can stick a migrant on it.
But nah, see, that's crazy. That's crazy. But okay. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight, and your co-host.
Hi.
Good morning.
I'm calling concerning Charles Carter. People remember he was an avid tennis player. I'm glad to know him personally when he brought his two sons to Zambia and Vicky Knowles tennis camp. He's a good tennis player. And also, a few years ago, I was in they had Augusta Street Day. Guess who walked around the road with short buns on? So Charles Carter, by himself. This was 5-6 years ago. He's walking around. But they don't know who he was. He walking around talking to people by himself. But he's proud of. He's from that street. He's from Augusta Street. That's where his naval string was buried. But was he ever Speaker of the House or Deputy Speaker of the House? I remember him seeing him with a wig on.
I don't recall.
Did you find that out?
Okay, all right. Thank you.
The Deputy Speaker of the House.
Yep.
And also, he was a class act. He didn't let fortune and fame get to his head.
Absolutely.
He stayed humble and true character. Okay?
Very true. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. One final call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning. How you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Okay, good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning.
Okay, and good morning to the nation. First and foremost, I want to also extend my condolences, heartfelt condolences on the passing to the family of Sir Charles Carter on his passing. We have lost a great contributor to our society, a nation builder, and a proud son of the soil. We have lost a patriot in the loss of Sir Charles Carter. And I completely support your statements earlier, Dwight and Palm, that we need those stories to be told of the men and women who are part of that generation of men and women who helped to build the country and who helped to provide the opportunities and the benefits that Bahamians enjoy today. Because not much is said of them, not enough is said of them, and many of them are still with us today, whether they be born in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever the case may be. We need their stories to be told. And so we call on you, Dwight, as someone who has a platform, a national platform, to help to tell the stories of the great men and women, those on the front lines and those behind the scenes, because it took those behind the scenes for the men on the front line to be able to stand up strong. Yeah. Now, to the topic today, Dwight, I made several points.
You got 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We got to go.
Oh, boy. Anyway, the statement by the Governor General makes very little sense. When he spoke to us having a low vaccination as one of the reasons why they are extending the emergency orders, when in fact a government policy as of recent flies completely in the face of that policy, where the government is now allowing for tourists to enter into our country without having to provide their results of their COVID-19 test, and knowing that the science dictates that even though the percentage may be low, the percentage still exists.
Without having to provide the results?
Pardon me?
Without having to provide?
We are not requiring tourists who are fully vaccinated to provide COVID-19 test results.
Yeah, well, that's,
right? And that flies completely in the face of the statement that the Governor General makes. And then on top of that, Dwight, we have the fact that we have yet to build capacity for the medical resources we have lost in doctors and nurses who were critical in this fight, and the Prime Minister nor the Minister of Health has spoken to how and when we can expect to rebuild that capacity that we have lost. Yeah. When you look at the fact that at the end of the day, the emergency orders, they are not defended and they are not being held to account in the Parliament. We have a group of individuals, a small group of individuals, who are not defending those actions in the Parliament and passing emergency orders on the entire country without having to defend them. That is absolutely, completely against parliamentary order. That is completely against democracy, and it flies in the face and slaps every Bahamian in the face. this emergency order being continued at the end of the day. It makes absolutely no sense. If I had more time, I'd have several more points, but hopefully when you pick up this conversation again, I'll get to those.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Morning Blend Business, we're talking about the livable wage, and we're going to be talking to the organizers of the study that was done in conjunction with UB and the Government and Public Policy Institute, and defending their findings. That's going to come up after the break. Stay with us.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is the Guardian News Network update on the hour. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Ferguson. The Governor General has declared a new state of emergency for the next 14 days, which Parliament is expected to extend. Sir C.A. Smith cited the low percentage of vaccinated Bahamians, as well as a third wave of the virus on New Providence and Grand Bahama, as contributing to his belief that a state of emergency still exists in this country. Opposition leader Philip Davis says his party will not support an extension. He feels the Prime Minister is only prolonging the state of emergency so he does not have to defend his decision-making, and as he does not want scrutiny of how and with whom he has spent pandemic funds. Davis claims that by failing to aggressively source vaccines, consult Bahamian doctors on the front lines, and make COVID testing free, the Menace administration has done everything possible to make herd immunity unobtainable. Well, the latest emergency order includes a series of benefits for the fully vaccinated. They can now dine indoors on New Providence and Abaco with proof of vaccination, of course. They no longer have to take an RT-PCR test to enter the country, travel from New Providence and Grand Bahama, or get that rapid test on day 5 of their trip. And the international health visa fee for vaccinated Bahamians and residents has dropped to $10. Their domestic travel visa is now free of charge. There's also now a $10,000 fine and or 2 years imprisonment for anyone submitting false vaccination records. And the country has recorded 111 new COVID infections since Friday, 101 of those on New Providence. There were 50 cases just Saturday, 44 in New Providence, 2 on Exuma, and 1 each on Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Inagua, and Cat Island. Total COVID-19 cases now number 11,184 since the start of the pandemic. 828 of those are still active. That's what's making headlines at this hour. Stay with us. AP Update is next.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day? What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and gritty.
We need to start joking about everything, you know. This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet his boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life and drunk, you know.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower, and I ain't no snitch. I still white there, you know.
But ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you, and your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong salad.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of creditors pounding at your door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
Final look at traffic. As it got closer to 9 this morning, we saw the streets really heating up. Several corridors being crowded and really getting busy. West Bay Street to ride in, finally busy enough. slow your ride down. The backup being created from the West Bend, but it's still hanging in there. Once you're around the Saunders Beach roundabout area, then it lightens up a bit for the ride on in. But you still got to ride the brakes getting on into the city. 6-leg roundabout clogged a bit from JFK on the east lanes and from what's coming through the Sports Center. However, the ride along University Drive from that point on, well, is manageable at this hour. Inner city streets are still relatively light as it gets for the midday traffic, and traffic out of the east is tapering off. Along the Eastern Road and the ride out, you can see it lessening a bit. The ride out on Bernard Road and Prince Charles Drive was a good one. In fact, the ride on Prince Charles Drive slows only when you're crossing Soldier Road and getting ahead into that big east-west highway and Marathon and Robinson Road intersection. Still yet, it's the southwest gateways where the problems exist. Just slow ride getting out, lengthy delay lines and congestion, still plaguing those routes. I'm looking for the relief to happen within minutes, but we've still got a good bit going on over there. And the same thing is happening on Independence Drive, on both the west end, headed into the Blue Hill Road area, and the east end, headed into East Street. Because of that, everything is being clogged up on the East Street North route into that roundabout as well. Give it another 10 or 20 minutes or so and you'll see some of that clear, but if you're back there, that's about how much more time you're going to need before you really have relief. This NASA Traffic Report this hour being brought to you by the folks over at J.S. Johnson. At J.S. Johnson Online Service Center app is where you can view your policy details, check outstanding balances, report a claim, and more. Sign up today at jsjohnsononline.com. With your Riders Guide, look at traffic in real time. I'm VA Double N.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. Should Pope Francis support sanctions against Israel? That's what Turkey is asking him to do, saying Palestinians will be massacred, to use his word, as long as the international community does not punish Israel. This morning, Israel unleashed a wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. It says its airstrikes are targeting Hamas militant infrastructure. Palestinian militants in Gaza have fired thousands of rockets into Israel. Some Democrats are calling on President Biden to get more involved in the peace effort. But this morning, the Secretary of State Tony Blinken says the U.S. is doing what it can to end the fighting.
We are working tirelessly across every diplomatic channel we have to advance the prospect of getting to calm and ending the violence.
Congressman Adam Schiff, the Democratic chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, is urging President Biden to pressure both sides to end the fighting. I'm Rita Foley.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, May 17th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. This morning, we are going to be delving deeper into the livable wage. We had a big discussion about this a few weeks back, but more people are seeing the report now. That was done with UB and the Government and Public Policy Institute, and there's been some strong reaction to this, and we're going to delve deeper into that and have some of the folks who are behind the project to talk about this very important study. That's coming up in a few minutes. But first, it's time for the Morning Business Report brought to you by CFAL. In your morning business report, the United States House Financial Services Committee hoping to have its Disclosure of Tax Havens and Offshoring Act that will require multinational corporations to disclose country-by-country financial reporting. They're hoping to have that ratified soon, hoping it would reveal corporate abuse of tax havens. If the act becomes law, it could lead to the further erosion of the kind of business international financial centers like the Bahamas provide. The committee voted 28 to 23 to send the legislation to Congress, according to an article published on the website law360.com. While the Bahamas has been pegged as a tax haven in the past and blacklisted as such, Attorney General Carl Bethel telling Guardian Business that the country's adoption of many multilateral frameworks and agreements already move multinational corporations or their subsidiaries operating in the Bahamas to adhere to certain reporting requirements. You can read more about this in today's Guardian Business section. Through technical assistance from the Bahamas Development Bank, the Disaster Reconstruction Authority is planning to construct a 100-unit housing development to meet the rental needs on Abaco within the next fiscal year. DRA Chairman John Michael Clark says the authority is seeking to build the rental housing development through a public-private partnership at an estimated cost of around $15 to $20 million. Clark says the determination was made to develop the rental complex after realizing the high number of residents who were renting, particularly those who worked for the government on the island when the deadly Category 5 hurricane left many of them homeless. Nearly 2 years into Hurricane Dorian rebuilding efforts, Bahamian Contractors Association President Michael Pratt says he doesn't see construction building steam on the island anytime soon. This is Abaco. Approximately 13,000 homes on Abaco and Grand Bahama were destroyed by the storm. And while there has been progress with some repairs and some rebuilding, the pace has been sluggish. Pratt says based on reports from his membership, the majority of construction work on the island has yet to start and will remain undone until or unless there is a temporary housing solution. Overseas, AT&T will combine its massive media operations, that include CNN, HBO, TNT, and TBS, in a $43 billion deal with Discovery, the owner of lifestyle networks, including the Food Network and HGTV. It's a major directional shift for AT&T, which squared off with the Justice Department less than 3 years ago in an antitrust fight when it wanted to acquire Time Warner Inc. for more than $80 billion. That was a fight that AT&T won. It's not clear what the new company would mean for customers, but it is likely to allow the bundling of streaming services. For example, Disney offers Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, and a standalone streaming service for CNN is also a possibility. AT&T operates HBO Max, and Discovery created its own streaming service. HBO Max and HBO have a combined U.S. subscriber base of 44 million, and Discovery Plus has about 15 million subscribers. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Friday, market movers, AML Foods Limited moving 1,000 shares, closing up 15 cents to 5.20. Bahamas Waste moving 3,170, unchanged at 6.96. JS Johnson moving 4,688, unchanged at 15.50. Consolidated Water up 1 cent, closing at 2.33. Emira Incorporated up 15 cents, closing at 11.64. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 1,948.43, up 0.68. Recapping the week, the local market ended the week with 59,990 shares crossing the exchange, with 14 trades accumulating a value of $267,670. The BISX All-Share Index lost 5.73 points, or 0.29%. Year-to-date, the index is down 143.92 points, or 6.88%. The week's volume and value leader, Commonwealth Bank, moving 45,800 shares in 6 trades with a value of $133,216. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in to CFAL Talks tonight at 6:30 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. You're listening to Morning Blend Business, brought to you in part by Cash and Go. Cash and Go now has over 8,000 active users in our handy mobile wallet. No need to wait. Just log on and go with Cash and Go.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Cash and go. Pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes. Cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go.
All Cash and Go merchants can send and receive payments using Sand Dollar, the official digital currency of the Bahamas.
You can do it at cash and go. Pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes. Cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's cash and go.
Boy, you know what going down tomorrow?
Nobody, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Boy, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you want?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Boy, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, how many boys coming for me next?
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I avoid?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Croc Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the calls go directly to Miami, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and you can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Preparing for a hurricane can make all the difference in safeguarding the lives of family, friends, and neighbors. By knowing what action you should take, you can reduce the effects of a hurricane disaster. Get all the facts of the potential of having insurance, impact-resistant windows, home emergency power, essential supplies, and a lot more before the storm. After the storm, where to purchase building or cleaning supplies, waste disposal, medical care, and more. The Nassau Guardian's Hurricane Guide will help you make sure everyone knows what to do in the event a hurricane approaches. Take advantage of this double insertion opportunity, plus 15 commercials on Star 106.6. Contact us today at 302-2300. That's 302-2300, or your account executive. Will you be prepared?
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Said I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sowed. Hey, hey. Well, let me tell you something, all that glitters ain't gold.
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on this Monday morning. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. And we are once again talking about the Bahamas Living Wages Survey. We had an in-depth discussion with Leslie Archer and some others who were taking part in that a few months back. But we were very pleased to have her back with us, along with the head of the Government and Public Policy Institute, our colleague, Javargo Lang. Great to have you both with us this morning.
It's good to be here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So I take it that this was made. I know we got an early release, as they say. We got an early preview of the survey when we talked to you a couple months ago, Leslie. But it's been made public, it seems now, and there's been some reaction to it. Tell us about the process. What's been happening since we last spoke?
Thank you for having me on the show. When we finished the study, it was right when the pandemic was starting. So even though we did plan to perhaps expose it more, the pandemic kind of sent everybody into a shock. So I think perhaps now that everyone is settled into this new way of life, it is coming up on how we're going to move forward or how we're going to live as is. And so the study is gaining traction from that perspective.
All right. So Shvargalang, tell us about this, how this came about and why this was important to do this Bahamas Living Wages survey.
Well, this study was actually assigned to GPPI from the chairman of the university, Dr. Rogers. He wanted a living wage study done, empirically grounded by the university, that would give people a better understanding of how much it costs to live in the country, in the Bahamas. And so Mr. Lang passed it down to me as the policy fellow to carry out the study, and so that's what I did.
Okay.
With a team of university.
If I might, Dwight, just add a bit. I had some discussions with the chairman about what he thought was the living wage in the country. But actually, just a slight amendment. Actually, it was my determination when I was appointed to GPPI that something that would be broadly impactful in terms of providing some insights and information about life and living in the country would be a useful first research piece for the university and for the GPPI. And so it was really a determination to have this study done, which I had no doubt the chairman would have been delighted to have done, because he and I actually debated that issue when we were discussing it. And quite frankly, I have to confess that he was closer to the truth about what would be discovered than I was at the time.
Wow. All right, so it seems that we need to do a definition again, and how this is different from the minimum wage, a living wage, a livable wage, the differences between the two, and what the living wage is used, how that is used in setting policy. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so key differences between a living wage and a minimum wage is, first of all, a minimum wage is usually mandated by law, and it's determined by the government, and it's usually so politically influenced, whereas a living wage is determined by the cost of living in the country, and there is no political influence in terms of the calculations of the findings and the information that we source to get our findings. So it's based upon what the cost of living in the country is.
I think you might need to say that.
The first difference. The second.
You might need to say that one more time, Leslie, because there's no political influence. This is based on just the findings, based on the costs in the country, the cost of living in the country.
If I might, let me give you an example. When this was assigned to Leslie, I had nothing to do with their academic, professional responsibilities in carrying out this study. These are academics who had to go about the business of determining what a living wage was, and their ultimate accountability is to their peers. So they are subject to peer review, both national, local, and international. And so I get to see the results of the study just like everybody else, though I have to do the necessary to find the resources to ensure that the study can be conducted.
Right. Okay. All right. So Leslie, you're giving us more details on the differences. I interrupted you.
Yeah. So another important difference between a minimum wage and a living wage is that a minimum wage is usually mandated by the government. So it's usually something that's enforced, whereas a livable wage is usually something that's voluntary. So employers generally have a choice of whether or not they're going to decide to pay their workers a living wage. There are advantages for employers to do that, as well as, of course, disadvantages. But those two key things, the voluntary nature of a livable wage and its independent from political influence are primary.
Based on your survey, good morning again. Based on your survey, you said for the Bahamas, the livable wage, New Providence, the livable wage is $2,625 per month, and for Grand Bahama, $3,550. And you said for a family of 4 or 5.
It's 2 adults and 2 children.
So it's a family of 4. And the minimum wage right now is for a 40-hour work week. In private sector is $5.25, and the public sector is $5.50. What is the hourly minimum livable wage for an individual?
You said the minimum wage or the living wage is $5
the minimum wage.
Oh, okay.
The minimum wage for
and
the
you're
private
asking me
sector.
To give you an hourly rate?
Yeah, for the livable wage.
Okay.
I did the calculation.
Okay. I know this came up the last time we talked, Leslie.
Yeah.
You didn't
It's difficult to do the calculation because your estimate is based on these parameters: clothing, food, and gas and all of that, and rental for a family
and
of
also
4.
like housing is like a lump sum. Right.
So I'm talking about an individual.
So I don't have an hourly, but Mr. Lang said I don't have an hourly in the report. So yeah.
But what did you come up with?
But let's say you have a household of 4 people, and let's say there's just one breadwinner. Let's just say one breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's $2,650 for New Providence as an example. When you break that down weekly, it's $662.52 for that individual, right? And if you then divide that by the 40 hours, you get basically $16.55 an hour.
Okay. See, because I'm not sure that's how. The reason why I asked that because when I look at what we have, I like to compare stuff. And so when I compare it to, for instance, if you look with the UK, they have minimum wage and livable wage. So they will tell you if they have an apprentice, and that's 19 years and under, their hourly rate for the minimum wage is $4.30. That's per hour. And then that works out in US dollars to about $242 per week for 40 rate. Then they will tell you and they would have it for under 18. They have a rate $4.62 pounds. Then they have 18 to 20, $6.56 pounds. And these are per hour. And then they have 21 to 22, and they have over 23 years, and which is $8.91. See, I believe minimum wage, the way it is right now, like $2.10, that should probably be for students or persons at a certain age. And then over a certain age is when you go up, and it shouldn't be that amount across the board. But I think it's better to give it in an hourly rate for an individual so it could be comparative.
Okay, Ms. Musgrove, you raised some very interesting points. Central to the UK's calculation of living wage. Well, first of all, let me establish the premise with methodology is very important in academia, and it's can be complicated if you compare findings that have different methodologies, because different methodologies can come up with different results, and then it would skew the findings. But what you said is very important, because the UK's living wage, they did a different method, but their living wage starts, I think, at age 25 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And they said because of their study, if I remember correctly, this is about maybe 2 years back, if I'm recalling right, they said they're not going to calculate a living wage for under 25, because based upon their culture, most children or persons under 25 are still living at home or are in school. And so they don't really need a livable wage. And so they use different rates that would, I guess, more align with what they feel they would need based upon the reality that the majority of them are still home. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that that's not the case in the Bahamas, but I have to go on the information that that data is actually collected on. I can't just say we can assume it. So that's why the living wage is a general. I did do it instead of doing it from age 15 that the anchor methodology recommended. I did it from age 19 to 64, and that bracket. But what you said is it's an important point that some countries have taken into consideration that the livable wage should be different based upon your age and where you are in life.
But if I might, the living wage is, as Leslie said, based on different methodologies, is also contextual. It matters to your culture, country, circumstances, etc. And so really the key point about a living wage is not so much to compare it to other countries, it's to get an understanding of what it costs someone to live in your country based on what is a reasonable standard of living for living. And so that's the most important thing about it is, and it then gives you an opportunity to assess what people are making relative to that particular cost. And it allows for many policy considerations, private sector considerations, and as you can see, even broader societal considerations. For instance, if somebody goes to court and says, I want to sue for X, Y, and Z, you now have a study that can be referenced in respect of, well, what ought to have been a cost associated with that person's living.
Yeah, I'm okay with the different methodology.
And also,
that wasn't my issue on the methodology. I'm just saying, in presenting it, when you say $2,625, that is not similar to what's presented now. So, for instance, we know that minimum wage is $210 per week for an individual in the private sector, which equates to $5.25 per hour on a 40-hour week. So I'm just saying, like, if the livable wage was presented like that for an individual, the livable wage was $300, I'm just using an example, and $50 per week, which works out to X amount per hour. That would make it more comparable to what we have now, as well as for the employers to look at that and to see, okay, I get you in terms of an individual coming to work. Because if you apply for a job, they don't take into consideration where you live or how many children in your home. This is the position the job requires. And I think it will be a better presentation for them to be able to compare livable versus minimum when they're having that conversation. That's so my only point about that.
I think that's very interesting. I think it's interesting to keep in mind the premise of a living wage, which is to eradicate poverty. So when we even start to get into details, as Anka did not do with hourly rates, versus this is the rate for someone who is employed full-time to be able to have their family taken out of poverty, which is the goal, then the breakdown of it beyond, let's say, the weekly or the monthly, then becomes negligible, because can an hourly rate really take someone out of poverty? But that's the value in where I calculated the likelihood that both persons are actually working full-time. And it's very unlikely that persons from lower middle income families have both adults, if there is a heterosexual union, employed full-time. It's not 100% guaranteed. But yes, to what you're speaking to is a greater degree of customization of the study for the environment and maybe even for employers. And I think that's an excellent avenue that a particular employer, if they wanted to take the study and decide that they want to pay a livable wage, but they want it to be an hourly something, then that's definitely something that they can do. Like, for example, I mentioned in future areas of research, one thing I did not cover was I did not customize the living wage to take in consideration for in-kind benefits. I didn't do that, but I mentioned that it could be done. For example, in the hotel sector, if they provide transportation to and from work and meals, as some of them do, you can discount the cash value of the livable wage for the cost of the meals. So there is flexibility, and that's why the living wage is indeed a voluntary act by the employer to take up, and they possess that right and that responsibility to customize it to ensure that if the ultimate goal is to get their employees out of poverty or to ensure that there is no poverty, how they're going to go and do that. This is just a groundwork foundation But I think the points are very good that you raised.
So the bottom line is, with the gap between the minimum wage and what we found in the study, for you to live a comfortable life in this country, it's not going to be possible on minimum wage, which I think we've known for a very long time. But that is the bottom line, would you say?
Right, but this is also not uncommon for countries in general. It's very common for the livable wage to be higher than the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, research shows that typically middle-class families, in order to elevate themselves, the custom is, at least in the US, to take on second and third jobs and to work overtime to build your way up. Some would also say, well, that's the custom in the Bahamas, to take on. So it was never intended in a way or a reality for the minimum wage by itself as one person working one job to be adequate to keep up with the cost of living in a country.
Right. All right. So
I might note to Leslie's point that in the U.S., the U.S. federal minimum wage is $7.25. Their calculated minimum wage by MIT, at least one study, was $16.54, which means that the U.S.'s living wage by that calculation is 2.3 times higher than their minimum wage, the U.S. federal minimum wage.
Yeah, I think Biden wanted to increase the minimum wage to about $15, but he didn't have the full support. I think one of his caucus wasn't going to agree with it, and he needed that in order for that to pass. And so what he has done is he's made the federal minimum wage $15, and private sector will be maintained at $7.
Yeah.
Some dollars.
Now,
it's hard for employers because of the overhead costs and cash flow restraints to even decide to take on, a living wage.
Yeah. All right. So there's been some reaction to this. Last week, the National Tripartite Council spoke about this, and in the Tribune, he's quoted, one of the members from the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, the head of the labor division with the chamber, Peter Gowdy, is quoted as saying, quote, "There's no way on God's green earth that the living wage could possibly be $2,625. And he goes on to say that, quote, "That is ridiculous. That is way ridiculous. I don't know where they got that information from. I'd love to see it. No way on God's green earth is that correct. It's way above the line."
Now, Dwight, I want you to imagine if Leslie and her team just came to your radio station and said, the living wage in the Bahamas is $3,000. Just said it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do any research, didn't read anything, didn't look at anything. How would you take that?
Oh, that would be very hurtful. Very hurtful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can understand if he hadn't read it, that he could have a reaction based on where he is and what he's thinking. But I think anyone who looks at these numbers in the context of a 4-person household in the country and who lives in this country, would understand that can't be too far off at all.
Right. And we hear every year, that we are in the top 10 of the most expensive places in the world to live. And we know what's going on. We know that the prices in most of the stores are double what they would cost in the U.S. This is not a surprise at all. But is the reaction a symptom of a challenge that we have here? What do you make of that? And I'm sure there are others who are thinking, well, there's no way in, as he said, on God's
Well,
green earth.
I think, again, this is new information. This has not been done before. No one has undertaken to find out what a living wage is in the country. So here's one body of research. Nothing prevents another body of researchers from doing a study, even if they decide to use a different methodology, or they can use the same methodology and they may come up with different findings. This is the nature of academic research. And so, but these researchers have evidential, empirical information on their side. And anyone who wants to challenge them will have to do so on the basis of the same thing. You can't just simply say, there's no way on God's earth. Listen, I know there are many mysteries on God's earth. I don't know. There's plenty of them I don't know. So it's hard for me to be able to say there's no way on God's earth without having to do some rigorous study to try and establish that fact. But I understand the reaction too, because if you're a business person who's struggling or knowing the challenge of being competitive, and you see something that may implicate a cost increase to yourself, then it's not only that it can't be, you don't want it to be a certain way. And I understand that, but that's not how Leslie and her team gets to do their work. They have to go and do research-based studies that can be held up to scrutiny by their peers.
So what?
And also,
Leslie, go on.
yeah, I just wanted to add that some unions over the years have the rates that they have came up with or that they did develop. They've said that they conducted their own independent living wage studies. I wasn't able to access that, but there's certainly a possibility that other studies are out there. Like Mr. Lang said, he had a discussion with Dr. Rogers, the chairman, who said he did his own investigation into what the living wage could be. There are literally over 100 different methodologies for calculating the living wage. But it's like Mr. Lang said, in moving and increasing the visibility and strength of academia and the world and the influence of academia, then it's good that this study is out and getting the feedback that it is.
So what should be the next step? If we come to an agreement that this is accurate, this is the way, this is the living wage, livable wage in the country, what should we as a country, what should we do next?
Well, there are several options. I'll give you an example. I think I spoke on another show 2 weeks ago where May 1st, Barbados implemented a national minimum wage for the first time in their country that closely resembled the living wage. And some people will be like, why on earth would you increase or create even a national wage during the pandemic and the time of crisis? And the Honorable Prime Minister Watley, when you look at her decision, it's like, okay, well, employers already have those staff. So all of the disadvantages are already being affected. Like you already have limited staff. So why don't we ensure that the staff that are there, if we are rebuilding and reconstructing, they actually have a chance to escape poverty once they are contributing to work. That's the goal of a living wage. If you work, you have the right to not be in poverty. So Barbados literally just implemented a national wage. They didn't have one before May 1st. That's the way they chose to deal with it, which I think is incredibly innovative and courageous and creative. And other ways could be also to figure out how to reduce the cost of living in the country. Obviously, if our findings is based upon the cost of living, like you mentioned earlier, the cost of clothing, the cost of transportation, education, healthcare, socializing, et cetera, everything needed to have a well-rounded human being and healthy human being. How can we get these costs to be lower? And once you get the costs to be lower, you won't need to earn so much to not be in poverty.
Are we hearing anybody talk like that about that stuff? That doesn't ever seem to be the conversation. We almost celebrate being on the top 10 list for most expensive places in the world. But we don't hear the discussion about reducing the cost often.
Well, one of the things too, Dwight, that's important is that if you now have this information that says essentially it costs X, Y, and Z to live comfortably in the country, as an individual, a set of individuals, as people perhaps getting married or seeking to get married or what have you, or planning their lives, you now get to set some goals, some parameters for yourself about, what the realities of your living is going to be. And so that can be helpful from that point of view. The government, obviously, in looking at social assistance, might need to recalibrate some forms of their social assistance, whether that is from a cash transfer point of view or from a subsidizing point of view of cost. But it gives you it gives you something now to plan around that's more concrete than merely an idea or notion of what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think with because of our model requires custom duties, I think that contribute to the high cost of living, and also we are an attractive place for foreigners to buy land and build lavish homes, and that affects the cost of land in the country, which by extension affect the cost of living. So I think there's some things about the economy that is causing the cost of living to be so high, and then we can see how devastating people of the lower class can be when you're making a minimum wage of $210 per week it's really difficult to live. And you look at the larger chunk of the employees in the country are the hotel sector and a lot of spin-off. And their base salary is minimum wage, the 210, and then it's added on based on gratuity and stuff that they collect. They will go home with a higher, but the standard is the minimum wage for most of hotel workers.
The structure of the economy is something that was created, and if it was created, that means it can be changed. And even if we take in consideration, well, okay, we have customs that we need to generate revenue for the country, etc. Let's take, for example, let's look at housing. There could be greater rental units. I think I just heard Mr. Strachan talk about they're going to build a rental unit, a government rental unit in Abaco. Use crown land to build. I know in the U.S. they have blocks of rental units, like mini condos, but not really condos. They're low-income housing units, but they're sufficient. There isn't a 3-year or how much ever long year waiting list as there is currently for the limited amount of government rental units here now. That would decrease the cost of housing, utility, the electricity bill. That would also be good. And there has been progress on that. If that could continue to decrease, that also affect communications, that takes up 6% of the salary that, or of the wages that people make. This is based upon the housing expenditure survey that I just said. 6%, that's really high. Can something be done to reduce the amount that we have to pay for the telephone, for the internet, etc. So there's so many aspects that this living wage took into consideration that contribute to the cost of living, that if we aren't excited about a particular aspect, then there's so much more. There's another way that we can, but there's definitely opportunity. Transportation, if there was a decent transportation system that was consistent, reliable, and dependable, worker productivity could probably be increased, which would help companies be able to generate more funds and would have spillover effects that can also have a beneficial impact on the country and on the cost of living.
Yeah, all of these
There's
are things
so many
that people
ways to look at it.
Yeah, all of these are things that people have been screaming for many years
Long
to be
time.
developed in the country.
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this. We'll get some calls in and some of the messages as well. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're talking with Shivargo Lang and Leslie Miller with the Government Public Policy Institute, talking about the livable
Archer.
wage. Oh, so what did I say? Leslie Archer.
You can't, don't go marry me.
Oh, no. Sorry, oh, boy. All right, we'll be back. Stay with us.
I need a dollar, that's what I need. Well, I need a dollar.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Cash and go. Pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes. Cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go.
All Cash and Go merchants can send and receive payments using Sand Dollar, the official digital currency of the Bahamas.
You can do it at cash and go. Pay all your bills and cash and go. Send your money from cash and go. Top up your minutes. Cash and go. Pay insurance and cash and go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a cash and go.
Wait, you know what going down tomorrow?
Nobody, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Wait, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Wait, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, how many boys coming for me next?
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So what are the boy?
All you gotta do is call them or you text them through the Croc Crime Bahamas app and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info? And when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go directly to Miami and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them and they can claim a reward later using that same pen. Plus, everything's scrambled so nobody can read what you saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Preparing for a hurricane can make all the difference in safeguarding the lives of family, friends, and neighbors. By knowing what action you should take, you can reduce the effects of a hurricane disaster. Get all the facts of the potential of having insurance, impact-resistant windows, home emergency power, essential supplies, and a lot more before the storm. After the storm, where to purchase building or cleaning supplies, waste disposal, medical care, and more. The Nassau Guardian's Hurricane Guide will help you make sure everyone knows what to do in the event a hurricane approaches. Take advantage of this double insertion opportunity, plus 15 commercials on Star 106.6. Contact us today at 302-2300. That's 302-2300, or your account executive. Will you be prepared?
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Said I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sowed. Hey, hey. Well, let me tell you.
We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We are talking with Leslie Archer and Javargo Lang. I don't know what I said before, but okay. And we're talking about the livable wage study that was done in conjunction with the University of the Bahamas. And we've got some calls coming in and some questions as well. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning, Dwight, Pam again, and good morning, Chicago, and Leslie. How y'all doing?
We're doing well.
Good, thank you.
Good. Excellent conversation. Always enjoy when the Institute of UB is brought into the discussions, especially on everyday issues. I was very pleased to hear, in particular, Ms. Archer on the show this morning. Nothing against anyone else, but I always enjoy listening to her. But what I wanted to add to the show, though, is highlighting the problems and the concerns mentioned by the person responsible at the Chamber of Commerce for labor in the country. We could also look at how this plays into wealth and income distribution and the many problems that are generated as a result of those kinds of considerations, which we have discussed on Chicago's show from time to time. We could also look at unfair competition and how this plays into making things affordable, making things accessible, creating an even playing field, creating the environment where such proposals could have the light of possibly being sustained. We could also look at the fact of, and this is something that when Juan raised on the show last week that I brought up, that you all are discussing today, how to make everything else, every other item that is necessary to afford a livable wage and a reasonable comfort of living, how the government can play into that in every aspect using UB and other study groups to come up with data and information to help them to understand how they can accomplish that so that a plan can be developed, whether it be over a 5, 10, or 15-year period, which governments can commit to as a national agenda to ensure that we can attain these objectives, which is good for the people of the country at the end of the day. And then we could also look at how the government distributes opportunities in the country, which is a major part of commerce in our country, and which is a major driving factor, as well as through these heads of agreements with the many hotel properties that come into our country, because these are all factors, in my view, that weigh into a livable wage or a sustaining a livable wage. I might add, Dwight, there's one more point that I wanted to make, that was critical. Oh boy, that microwave rung off and it threw me off my train of thought. But nonetheless, great show. And Shivago and Leslie, I hope that you all continue to make the rounds on Dwight's show, on Warren's show, because Leslie was on the line, but she didn't say much the other day, and on the other shows, so that we can develop this conversation. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll end it right. That's why.
Okay. I don't know which other day he's talking about. Okay.
I want to say something to that. I think all of those points are valid, and I think the source of it, though, will lie in a better and a stronger educated society. When you have more citizens increasing their education and knowledge, you're going to find, I believe, that there will be a stronger vested interest in seeing things through more than just that goes beyond asking or requesting or demanding of the government. There will be this level of knowledge in terms of developing a knowledge economy that can really thrust civil society into getting what they rightly need or what we rightly need and deserve to live fairly and decently in the country.
Excellent points there. Excellent points. Okay, so how can people get more information? If they haven't seen the study, how can they see it? Where can they read it? Give us that detail before we wrap things up here.
Okay, so the study is available on the website, on GPPI's webpage. The webpage is a part of the University of the Bahamas' website, so I'm going to say it slow. It's www.ub, for University of the Bahamas, .edu, for education, .bs, which is for Bahamas, /GPPI, for the Government and Public Policy Institute. So ub.edu.bs /GPPI. As soon as you land on that page, you will see the study to the right. Actually, you'll see all of the studies that have been completed under Mr. Lang's reign. I don't know what to call it. Under your supervision. To the right of that webpage, www.ub.edu.bs /GPPI. The study is right there. It says Bahamas Living Wages Survey.
All right, wonderful stuff. And
Yeah, make sure she says it's leadership, because I don't run an imperial office.
Reign is an interesting word.
I was doing my hands and everything.
All right, so what is next for the GPPI, Zhivargo Lang? What are you going to be working on next?
Well, we are very, very busy. We are obviously now doing a recovery and sustainable economic growth study for the Ministry of Finance, trying to determine what level of growth on a sustained basis is necessary to emerge out of this economic and fiscal challenge we have now, and some of the policy options for achieving that level of economic growth. We're doing a study for the Ministry of Agriculture, an agricultural survey toward a learning L3F program, it's called. And we're getting ready to do a very significant level of training for the government based on a training model that was developed by the Government and Public Policy Institute.
All right, great stuff. Hopefully you'll come back and tell us about that. Appreciate it. Thank you again, Leslie Archer and Zhivargo Lang with the Government and Public Policy Institute. Appreciate talking about this again with
You're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you.
That's
It's a pleasure.
That's it for us, Pam. See you,
Thank you,
in a
Dwight.
couple weeks.
Yep.
Monday's a holiday, so
Yep.
I'll see you in a couple weeks
Have
from
a
now.
blessed week, Bahamas.
And I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great one. On the clock with Aaron Green next.
Wake up, it's a new day.